After rebirth, I deliberately avoided the person I secretly loved, avoiding the chance to ride in the same luxury car around the city, always reminding myself that I am just the son of a driver. But when Su Qingxue looked at the empty seat beside her, she called the driver uncle for the first time. "Uncle Lin, are you leaving now?" Father Lin was extremely surprised. "Young lady, do you need anything else?" Su Qingxue suddenly felt annoyed. "Don't you need to wait for Lin Feng today?" "Lin Feng just texted me. He said he had plans with a classmate. You can just take the bus back later." Su Qingshue's face darkened. Reborn, everything has become strange again. What could Lin Feng be up to? Obviously, he never missed any chance to ride with me. In the previous life, around this time, he was afraid I would wait too long every day. He would obediently come to the car to wait beforehand. But that's for the best. In the previous life, because Lin Feng and I were in love for 5 years, later it became a thorn in Feng Yuan's heart. Having been reborn once, I must keep my distance from Lin Feng. That day, I walked for over 2 hours to get back to the old mansion of the Su family. I walked around the Su family's yard and went into the servants' quarters. Su Qingxue on the second-floor balcony of the main villa saw me. Her eyes followed me. Then she directly called my name. I was wearing headphones, so I didn't hear Su Qingxue calling, so I pretended not to hear and went straight into the small house. Su Qingshue's face turned cold, and she walked to the small house where the servants lived. As I entered the room and closed the door, she blocked the doorway. "Lin Feng, didn't you hear me calling?" I was a little dissatisfied with her actions. "I was wearing headphones just now, so I didn't hear you calling me." "So, what do you need me for?" Su Qingxue only then reacted. She had been reborn. "We haven't known each other long now, we aren't close." "Why didn't you ride with Uncle Lin after school today?" I replied. "Are you joking? You are the young lady, and my father is the driver. With my status, how could I possibly deserve to sit with you? Before, I didn't know how to maintain boundaries, but that won't happen again. I hope you, Miss Su, won't blame my father." Su Qingshue's expression immediately turned cold. "It's best that you clearly understand your position. If the old man asks later, you can explain it to him yourself. It wasn't me who kicked you off the car." With that, she slammed the door and left. I wasn't moved at all. In this life, I will absolutely not repeat the same mistakes. I've applied for dormitory housing, but I have to wait a few more days for an available spot. The next day, I woke up early and went to the roadside to wait for the bus. Meanwhile, Su Qingxue, just waking up, saw me leaving the house for school from the balcony. She stared at my retreating back, her expression gloomy. "Don't think that by doing these things, you can attract my attention." A few minutes later, I caught the bus. The bus was very crowded, so I had to push through the crowd to the back. As soon as I found a stable place to stand, I suddenly felt someone push me from behind. Turning my head, I saw a middle-aged standing behind me. He even smiled at me faintly. I wanted to move, but this man brazenly refused to move. He insisted on leaning against me. Just then, a girl appeared from nowhere, stunningly beautiful, holding a potted cactus and squeezing through the crowd. She said she needed to borrow some space while using the thorny cactus pot to clear a path. She quickly squeezed in front of the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was a bit slow, and his hand got hit by the cactus. "Are you crazy? Do you not know how to watch where you're going with a cactus on the bus?" The girl stood firmly in the middle-aged man's previous spot, apologizing perfunctorily. "Sorry about that. It won't happen again. Thanks for your understanding." The middle-aged man glanced at me and angrily turned to find another spot. I looked at the girl and saw that she was also looking down at me with sharp eyes. It was as if she was looking at an idiot. We looked at each other for a few seconds, and I couldn't help but ask, "Are you mocking me?" The girl paused for a moment. "Be careful on this bus in the future. There are many people like that. I've encountered them several times." Only then did I realize that she had just been helping me. "Thank you for helping me. My name is Lin Feng, a drama script writing student at University A. And you?" "Xie Hanmo. I'm a student at School B studying agriculture." While we were talking, the bus arrived at the station. University A and University B are only 2 streets apart. After getting off the bus, I wanted to say thank you, but I saw Xie Hanmo striding away, quickly heading towards the school across the street. I also turned and headed back to school, not thinking much about it. This year's freshman welcoming event was particularly lively. This time, Su Qingxue was the final act. Everyone wanted to see what the little princess of the Su family in Nan City actually looked like. Only I had no interest in this, because I didn't want to see Su Qingxue. But Yang Jian insisted on dragging me along. It only happens once in a lifetime. It was hard to get admitted, and if you don't go, your college life won't be complete. I was directly pulled by Yang Jian to the 3rd row. A senior from the logistics department was distributing snacks. He was extremely busy and happened to see me. He asked me to help carry this box of bread backstage to distribute to the performers who didn't have time to eat. I took the bread and walked through the crowd to the backstage area. Backstage, many performers were waiting for their turn. I placed the bread on a table by the door and instinctively glanced into the dressing room. In my previous life, I deliberately came backstage to get Su Qingxue bread of berry flavor, which she liked. because Su Qingxue was allergic to peanuts, and many of those breads contained nut flavors. I was afraid she might pick the wrong one, and the allergy would affect her performance, but this time, I couldn't be bothered about her fate. She's grown up by now, can't she even read the word nut? In the dressing room, Su Qingxue, for some reason, refused to leave. Until the dressing room door was knocked on, Liu Ruyan was about to get up to open the door, but Su Qingxue was faster. She quickly went to open the door, her voice cold. "I'm not eating," but before she could finish, she stopped. "Who are you looking for?" The young man standing at the door was startled by Su Qingxue's expression. "Miss Su, I heard you have a performance tonight." With a slam, Su Qingxue, startled, slammed the door shut. She turned and sat back on the sofa, so cold she could freeze someone. Liu Ruyan scratched her head. "Qingxue, don't you like Xie Yi?" Su Qingxue froze for a second. "I didn't see clearly just now." "Didn't see clearly? Then who did you think he was?" Su Qingxue didn't answer. She was very annoyed right now. Why hasn't Lin Feng arrived yet? In the previous life, around this time, he had clearly arrived. Finally, unable to wait any longer, Su Qingxue finally stood up and went out. As a result, she saw that people outside had started distributing bread. Liu Ruyan returned with bread. "Have something to eat. There isn't enough time to go out and eat now. Let's eat after the performance." Su Qingxue took the bread and took a look and discovered it was a nut flavor again. Her expression became even more displeased. Until she went on stage to perform, Su Qingxue finally saw the young men in the audience. All of them were cheering for Su Qingxue's appearance. As for me, I was looking down, fiddling with my phone. Perhaps finding it noisy, I put on my headphones. After Su Qingxue finished singing First Love, the atmosphere at the scene completely erupted. Many people rushed onto the stage with bouquets of flowers. Su Qingxue received several bouquets. She didn't immediately leave the stage. She didn't know why herself, but she couldn't help but look in my direction. At this moment, Yang Jian, from the third row of the audience, returned holding 2 bouquets. He shoved 1 bouquet into my arms. "Lin Feng, I'm going to give flowers to Su Qingxue. Are you coming with me?" I returned the flowers to Yang Jian. "Are you kidding? Giving flowers to Su Qingxue? I'd rather give them to a dog." I glanced up at the stage and suddenly remembered that Liu Ruyan had helped me a lot in my previous life. So I said, "Fine, let's go. Let's go together." At this moment, Su Qingxue on stage suddenly thought, in the previous life, he didn't accept my flowers. This time, he'll just accept them. After all, he knows I truly like him. Even though he doesn't love me, he still has some feelings for me. Su Qingxue stood there, her gaze fixed on me as I walked onto the stage with flowers. Even she didn't realize, as I walked in front of her, she naturally reached out a hand, extending it to receive my flowers. Unexpectedly, I walked straight past her and gave the flowers to Liu Ruyan, who was standing behind Su Qingxue. I smiled and said, "Your performance just now was excellent. Can I give you this bouquet?" Liu Ruyan was stunned for 2 seconds, then stood up to accept the flowers. "Of course you can, thank you." After giving the flowers, I turned and walked off stage, not even sparing a glance for Su Qingxue. Liu Ruyan faced Su Qingxue's gaze, her expression bewildered. Su Qingxue suddenly turned around. "What exactly is going on between you and Lin Feng?" Liu Ruyan was speechless. What could be going on? I am not familiar with him at all. "Qingxue, isn't it possible that he's deliberately doing these things to attract your attention? What kind of person is he? How could I possibly pay attention to him?" It was already 10 p.m. when I returned to the Su residence. Father Lin saw me return and immediately came to ask, "Lin Feng, did you see Miss Su at school today?" "She didn't let me see her today. It's past 10 p.m. and she still hasn't returned. Her phone is also off. Madame Su is looking everywhere for her." I opened my phone and clicked on the freshman group chat and told Madame Su not to worry. They're probably out singing karaoke. Okay, I'll go report this right away, so that she doesn't send someone to ask you later. I also saw in a photo from the group, next to Su Qingxue, was a handsome young man. That was Fang Yuan. As expected, they are still together. The next day, the fact that Su Qingxue didn't come home last night made Madame Su very angry. I was worried about being dragged by Madame Su for questioning, so I got up early and left the house. After getting on the bus with a glance, I saw Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo today was carrying a transparent potted succulent. I was a bit worried about encountering again the middle-aged man from before, so I immediately went to Xie Hanmo's side and greeted her with a smile. Xie Hanmo quietly made some space, basically shielding me from the inside. I was a little touched by her thoughtfulness. I initiated a conversation. "Sister Hanmo, what is that potted plant in your hand?" "It's so beautiful." I stared for a long time, but didn't reach out to touch it. "This succulent plant looks very much like a gift I received at graduation in my previous life." Xie Hanmo said, "Its name is Neon Light Haworthia. Do you like it?" I nodded. "Yes, I do. It's like crystal, so beautiful." Before I could finish speaking, Xie Hanmo pushed the potted plant towards me. "Take it, it's a gift for you." I instinctively reached out my hand and was a bit surprised. "It's for me?" Xie Hanmo showed no expression. "Don't you like it? Take it, I have many at home." Only then did I remember she was an agriculture student, likely skilled at growing these things. She was also carrying a potted cactus last time. Besides, a succulent plant like this probably doesn't cost much. I happily accepted. "Thank you. Next time I'll treat you to bubble tea." Xie Hanmo stared at me, then took out her phone. Then don't go back on your word. Let's add each other as friends first. I also took out my phone to add her as a friend. Okay, I absolutely won't go back on my word. Very quickly, the bus arrived at the stop. This time, Xie Hanmo didn't go straight ahead, but deliberately stopped to say goodbye to me. I was a bit surprised. After waving goodbye to Xie Hanmo, I then carried the succulent pot to the classroom. Just then, Yang Jian rushed in and sat down next to me, his expression a little agitated. Last night, I stayed up late gossiping in the group chat. I heard that the little princess of the Su family is dating the hot boy from Polytechnic University. Of course, I know the hot boy from Polytechnic University is Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan originally wanted to study abroad, but couldn't because of his father's troubles. He had to reluctantly take the college entrance exam and enroll in Polytechnic University. Now that university has just started, Fang Yuan's family situation isn't looking good. He wants to get his hands on Su Qingxue, this super rich young lady. And Su Qingxue also argued with her family because of Fang Yuan refusing to study abroad. The two hit it off the moment they met. Right now, they're probably being lovey-dovey in Fang Yuan's rented apartment. Seeing my calm expression, Yang Jian was a bit speechless. Lin Feng, aren't you shocked? Su Qingxue is actually dating someone. What does that young lady's business have to do with me? Instead of gossiping, it's better to pick up another part-time job. Yang Jian nodded. That's true. Who the young lady wants to date is her business. Wait a moment, Yang Jian added. Lin Feng, is this neon light pot yours? Oh my goodness, you were just complaining to me about being poor, and now you've brought a 4-figure plant pot to class. I was shocked too. Are you kidding me? How can such a small succulent pot be worth 4 figures? Yang Jian observed carefully for a minute. How could it not be? It's worth even more than that. It must be worth at least 5 figures. I searched online for a long time and found that this succulent pot is indeed not cheap. Given its quality, Xie Hanmo must have put a lot of effort into nurturing it. Then, I took out my phone and found Xie Hanmo's account. I took a picture of the neon light Haworthia and sent it. Sister Hanmo, when do you get off school this afternoon? I'll return this flower pot to you. Xie Hanmo sent back a question mark. Don't you like it? If it's already given to you, why bring it back? This is too expensive. Besides, I'm afraid I can't keep it alive. Maybe I should return it to you. After a while, Xie Hanmo finally replied, no need. Then I received the care instructions for the neon light Haworthia that she forwarded. Just follow these instructions to care for it. If you don't understand anything, just ask me. I turned off my phone, looking at the succulent pot in front of me, my gaze shifted. However, the matter wasn't over yet. Yang Jian suddenly stared intently at my neon light pot and added, my god, Lin Feng, why does this pot of yours look like agate? I clutched my chest. Alright, stop talking. I don't have any classes this afternoon, and the whole way. I carried the pot like a treasure, bringing this green plant pot back to my room. My stepmother, Lule Fun, who was in the next room, called me from outside the window. Lin Feng, the lady of the house wants to speak with you. As soon as I heard Madame Su, I instinctively felt annoyed. In my previous life, during the 5 years I spent with Su Qingxue, Madame Su always caused trouble for me when Su Qingxue wasn't around. My registered dorm room won't be available for another week, so I still have to stay here for another week. I went up to Madame Su and asked obediently, what do you need me to do, Mom? If it's something I can do, I definitely won't refuse. Qingxue is skipping class again. Today her homeroom teacher called me, saying she hasn't been to class for 2 days. School just started, Madame Su said with extreme distress, but I felt nothing, because I knew the school's homeroom teacher would never call Madame Su to report Miss Su skipping class. Who would dare to provoke the little princess of the Su family? Who would dare to manage whether she attends class or not? Aren't you and Qingxue in the same school? You even share some classes together. Can you help me keep an eye on her? If she skips class, send me a text message. Let's add each other first. I know very well. Madame Su wasn't actually angry because Su Qingxue skipped class, but because she skipped class to go on a date with Fang Yuan, that's why she was angry. This kind of thing happened in my previous life too, but back then, I had a good impression of Su Qingxue, so I told Su Qingxue about it. Su Qingxue would then arrive at class early every time, wait for me to take attendance photos for Madame Su, and then leave. Later, when Madame Su found out about this, she took it out on me. This time, I won't help Su Qingxue. Just as I was about to refuse, Lule Fun put her hand on my back. Isn't it just taking a photo for Miss Su? This isn't a difficult task at all. Rest assured, Mom. Lin Feng will surely do it. With that said, she scanned Madame Su's core code with her WeChat. Then she handed Madame Su's contact card to me. With a heavy heart, I followed Lule Fun. I'm not taking photos. I'm not doing this. You already agreed, so you do it yourself. After saying that, I turned and went back to my room. I understood Madame Su's intentions. Because I had eagerly approached Su Qingxue recently, Madame Su couldn't help but pay attention. And Su Qingxue hated being monitored the most. So, Madame Su asked me to secretly photograph Su Qingxue, which would both make Su Qingxue hate me and prevent Su Qingxue from getting close to Fang Yuan. Past 10 p.m., Su Qingxue finally returned. As soon as she got home, she started arguing with Madame Su. They argued for nearly an hour, and Su Qingxue stormed out of the villa, heading straight for the nearby pavilion. The pavilion was opposite my room's window. In my past life, I often secretly watched Su Qingxue from the window. Su Qingxue stared coldly at the window, counting silently to herself. Every time she counted to about 20, the driver's son would come out to find her, either bringing her food or bringing her an umbrella or simply coming out to look at her for a bit. Unexpectedly, with a soft click, the window she was staring at suddenly closed. Immediately after, the curtains were also drawn. Su Qingxue stood up straight, her expression disbelieving. She walked up to the window with a sullen face and knocked a few times. I didn't expect Su Qingxue to come and knock on the window. I stood in the room for a few seconds before going out. "Miss Su, are you looking for me?" Su Qingxue looked at me with a complex expression. "Why did you close the window? Closing the window is naturally for privacy. It's not good if people can see inside." Su Qingxue's face turned cold. My behavior was different from my past life, but she thought this was definitely a trick I was using to get her attention. If that's the case, then from now on, keep the window closed. Don't open it. I squinted at her retreating figure. This hot-tempered young lady is truly troublesome. Su Qingxue suddenly stopped, and then turned back. "My mother told you to take photos of me in class, didn't she? Is that right?" I was stunned. "How did you know?" "Don't worry, I won't take candid photos of you. Never have before, and never will in the future." Su Qingxue snorted coldly, her eyes looking at me with a hint of amusement. A few seconds later, she said, "You can take them. If she told you to, then just do it. I won't be skipping class anyway." After saying that, she turned and prepared to leave the courtyard. Recalling my past life because I had perfunctorily helped her with Madame Su, I was scolded by Madame Su for a long time. This time, I don't want to be scolded like that again. Unexpectedly, I suddenly called her back. "Wait a moment." Su Qingxue stopped, a look of just as I expected appearing on her face. "He still likes me, just as I thought." She asked arrogantly, "What is it?" To her surprise, she saw me holding my phone, with the lens pointed at her. "Miss Su, you just said I could take photos of you, right? Please say it again. So I won't get scolded later." Su Qingxue angrily said to me, "You can take them. If you want to take them, then take them. Is that good enough?" After saying that, she turned and walked away. I saved the video with satisfaction. Then I went to sleep peacefully. I could never have imagined. Su Qingxue was so angry that she couldn't sleep all night. The next day, Su Qingxue had to go to class early. After getting in the car, she habitually looked to the left. I, who should have been obediently waiting for her, was not in the car. Not long after the car started, it passed by. Someone walking. Su Qingxue's eyes focused on the milk carton in my hand. I always like to drink milk in the morning, every morning when I wake up. I soak 2 cartons of milk in warm water. When I go out, I drink it in the car. Su Qingxue hadn't drunk that kind of milk for a long time. She stared for about 2 seconds. Suddenly she said, "Stop the car." Then she said to me standing outside the window, "Get in the car." I shook my head. "Thank you, Miss Su, but no need. I can take the bus." This was the first time Su Qingxue had proactively shown kindness. Yet I didn't accept it. She snorted coldly, "As you wish." The sedan drove away. I also caught my bus on time. Xie Hanmo was indeed on the bus. I happily approached her, a bit surprised. "Senior, good morning, good morning." Xie Hanmo quickly put away her phone. If I had looked more closely, I would have seen she was just scrolling through my Moments feed. I offered her a carton of warm milk. "Please have some milk, Senior." Xie Hanmo had taken the bus with me several times. The two of us had become closer. She opened her phone and showed me her beautiful garden. After getting off the bus, she said to me, "If you have time later, I'll take you to visit my garden. There's even a small fish pond." As we were talking, Xie Hanmo suddenly stopped. I also realized something. Looking up, I saw Su Qingxue and 2 friends standing nearby. They were staring gloomily at the milk carton in Xie Hanmo's hand. The friend next to her even insinuated, "Qingxue, isn't that your family's driver's son? Didn't he always follow you around before? Why has he changed partners now?" The words "changed partners" stimulated Su Qingxue. At this moment, she couldn't possibly realize that I had also been reborn. Su Qingxue stared intently at the milk carton in Xie Hanmo's hand. Then she sneered and looked at me. "I was wondering why you aren't asking for a ride from me anymore. Is it that you've fallen for another woman and don't find me appealing anymore?" My face fell. "Miss Su, what nonsense are you talking about? What nonsense are you talking about? What? Did I say something wrong? When you first came to the Su family, didn't you wait for me in the car every morning? You used to give me this milk carton too. Why are you giving it to someone else now?" Thinking of my past self, my expression became grim. I truly regret ever liking Su Qingxue. What did she eat today to become like this? Su Qingxue glanced at Xie Hanmo again. "You probably don't know. He's the son of my family's driver." I felt incredibly embarrassed. "I'm sorry, Senior Xie." Xie Hanmo reached out and patted my head. "You don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. I know Su Qingxue has a terrible personality, but I really don't want to drag Xie Hanmo into this. Senior, you should hurry to class. Don't be late." Xie Hanmo frowned and asked me, "Who is she?" I was silent for 2 seconds. "She's crazy. Sick." Xie Hanmo paused. She hesitantly asked further, "Is she your girlfriend?" Of course not. Seeing me quickly disavow any connection, Su Qingxue snorted coldly. How could I possibly notice the son of a driver? I was furious. Yes, you can't stand the driver's son. Then was the person by your side for 5 years a ghost? Who told you to fall for him? Are you okay? If your head is sick, go get it treated. Su Qingxue, across 2 lifetimes. This is the first time you've been scolded by me. She froze, staring at me. Su Qingxue was silent. Xie Hanmo was also silent. With a slightly awkward expression, I said, Senior Xie, goodbye. I'm going to class now. I'm going to class. Hurry up, Senior Xie. I didn't wait for Xie Hanmo's reply. I turned and ran into the school gate. I didn't dare to look at Xie Hanmo. I was afraid of seeing surprise and contempt in Xie Hanmo's eyes in my previous life when I was with Su Qingxue. I had already endured such looks. Su Qingxue stood there with a cold expression. She stared at Xie Hanmo unwillingly. Xie Hanmo's expression wasn't good either. She held a carton of milk in her hand. She angrily watched my retreating figure until I disappeared. Then she also turned and left. This morning was a joint class. After sitting down, I opened the chat page with Xie Hanmo. I wanted to apologize. I hesitated for a long time, typed, and deleted. In the end, not a single word was sent, because no matter what I said, it didn't seem appropriate. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, Xie Hanmo's message arrived. What's wrong? Only then did I realize. I had been typing for almost 10 minutes. The result was that not a single word was sent. The other person was typing. This process was likely seen by Xie Hanmo. My face turned red with embarrassment. Senior, I'm very sorry about what just happened. I hope you don't mind. Didn't I say it wasn't your fault? You don't need to apologize. My eyes welled up slightly. Compared to Su Qingxue, Senior Xie's personality is truly too good. Su Qingxue spoke to Xie Hanmo with that tone, saying that. I didn't know if Xie Hanmo misunderstood. Would she misunderstand me as a player who flirts with everyone? As I was thinking, someone walked past my table. They bumped into my table. I looked up. I saw Su Qingxue walking past me with a cold expression and sitting down in the last row. Is Su Qingxue attending class today? Isn't she going to find Fang Yuan anymore? Were the words she said last night true? I was stunned for a few seconds. I immediately picked up my phone. I took a picture of Su Qingxue as soon as she sat down. Then I quickly sent it to Madame Su. She said I could take pictures and send them to Madame Su for monitoring, so I just took them. It would be even better if it could reduce trouble. Su Qingxue had just sat down. Wang Xiaoqian immediately said to her, Lin Feng just took a picture of you with his phone. Su Qingxue's expression finally softened a little. I know. I'm not blind. I'm not blind. 2 days later, when Su Qingxue and I went to class together, I casually took a photo to deal with Madame Su's request. Soon, rumors that I liked Su Qingxue and liked to take candid photos spread through the university's gossip group. Yang Jian looked through the expose posts in the gossip group and showed them to me. They say you like Su Qingxue. Not only are you pursuing her, but you're also stalking her, taking pictures of her in class, taking pictures of her after class, studying in different classes. You even have to run that far to take stealthy photos. I was speechless. No wonder, I thought, why people have been secretly looking at me on the street these past 2 days. I see now. So that's why. It's not as exaggerated as they say, is it? Someone is deliberately using this to slander me. It's a misunderstanding. It's because this young lady often skips class. So Madame Su asked me to keep an eye on her. Every day I have to take pictures of her studying and send them to her. Yang Jian's expression was shocked after hearing this. What a terrifying mother. No wonder Miss Su is so rebellious. Lin Feng, aren't you going to explain? Everyone is misunderstanding. What they're saying is nasty. I shook my head. Because I know. This gossip about Su Qingxue won't last long. In 2 weeks, Fang Yuan will quickly go abroad due to family matters. Then Su Qingxue won't have the chance to skip class and go find him anymore. Madame Su, don't worry. I won't have to take pictures every day anymore. What you fear most will come to pass. This noon, while eating, I coincidentally ran into Su Qingxue. I felt a bit unlucky. In my previous life, I wanted to meet her and had to go to great lengths to create chance encounters. As a result, after being reborn, I keep running into her for no reason. You've been taking pictures of me these past 2 days. Aren't you going to inform me? She paused for a moment. Su Qingxue looked at me meaningfully again. My photos? Do you still have them saved in your gallery? I gave her a disdainful look. You're the one who always skips class, causing Madame Su to ask me to take attendance photos of you. Now you attend class properly every day. Madame Su is very pleased. What's there to report? Don't worry, I don't save your photos. Not even one. Su Qingxue's eyes flickered. She seemed a bit disappointed. You took so many but you didn't save a single one? Why would I? What reason would I have to save your photos? Bad luck? Su Qingxue was so provoked by me that she burst into laughter. I don't believe it. Mr. Lin, do you like me but are afraid to admit it? I admit it. My past self at this moment did indeed like Su Qingxue, but now, I'm certain I no longer do. I took out my phone and opened the chat history with Madame Su. If you don't believe me, Then look for yourself. Su Qingxue snatched the phone and saw that in the chat history, there were only photos of her in class or after class. Each picture was of her back or a blurry profile. There wasn't even a single front-facing photo. Su Qingxue's expression immediately darkened. Fine, you monitored me for her, took my pictures. And yet, you didn't even capture my face. How much do you really not want to see me? I maintained an emotionless expression, because your front profile isn't that attractive anyway. Su Qingxue chuckled coldly and nodded. Then tell me, whose face is beautiful? Is it that Xie Hanmo? Why would you suddenly mention Senior Z? Senior Z. Do you call her that so familiarly? I'm older than you too. Why don't you call me Senior? What exactly is your relationship with her? I reached out and snatched my phone back. No matter what our relationship is, it has nothing to do with you. Su Qingxue's face turned grim. She forcefully threw my phone to the ground. A crack was heard. The phone screen was shattered. I hurriedly picked up the phone. Su Qingxue, are you sick? The phone screen is broken. You have to compensate me. I'll send you the bill then. I hope Miss Su won't default on the payment. Saying that, I walked away. I didn't want to be with Su Qingxue for another second. Su Qingxue stomped her foot in anger. Damn it. Previously, she was smug when she knew I took her picture. She thought I secretly loved her, which is why she let me take pictures. She thought that after taking the photos, I would definitely go home and secretly look at them. Now, she was making herself furious. When I went out, I passed through the food street on my way back to school. I didn't know that Xie Hanmo at the school opposite was also having lunch with classmates on this street today. Xie Hanmo was the first to see me, but she didn't call out to me. She had spent several hours at the agricultural college this morning. Her clothes were all covered in mud. She probably wanted to ruin her image in front of me. Moreover, my expression didn't look good. As my figure disappeared into the crowd, Xie Hanmo noticed that her table mates were also staring at me. Is the person you're talking about him? He looks like a good kid. Who would have thought he's a stalker? Xie Hanmo couldn't help but speak up. What are you guys talking about? Stalker? What stalker? The celebrity of University A is Su Qingxue. Have you heard of her? They say the son of her family's driver secretly loves her. He's in the same school as her. He's been secretly taking pictures of her every day recently? A classmate opened a post. Look, the young lady from the Su family, who just enrolled 2 weeks ago, has been stalked and secretly photographed by an obsessive pursuer. The person who took her pictures is right here. The post clearly showed me holding my phone, taking a picture of Su Qingxue's back. Xie Hanmo remembered what Su Qingxue had said that morning. Qingxue said, could he really like Su Qingxue? She frowned. Regardless, these posts are not good for him. Maybe I should have someone handle this. When I returned to school, I also saw that expose post, the news about me secretly taking pictures of Su Qingxue. However, very quickly afterwards that news was deleted. News related to me was also completely wiped clean. Yang Jian was extremely shocked. Is this the influence of the Su family? To be able to erase it from the entire internet. I looked at my phone hesitantly. I felt that Su Qingxue couldn't have done this, but if it wasn't Su Qingxue, then who else would do such a thing? On the third day, as I arrived at the classroom door, I saw Su Qingxue striding down the stairs. Today is Fang Yuan's birthday. I have to go buy him a gift. Could you help me deal with my mother a bit today? Tomorrow I'll obediently go to class. She said it as if it were a matter of course, as if I should be helping her. I took out my phone and took a picture of Su Qingxue. Then, with a cold expression, I said, okay, you can go. Saying that, I opened WeChat. I was about to send this photo of her skipping class to Madame Su. Su Qingxue suddenly snatched my phone. What kind of person are you? Not understanding reason. I already told you it's Fang Yuan's birthday today. I'll be back at 8 tonight. Is it that difficult for you to deal with my mother for me? I sneered. Very difficult. Madame Su is not easy to deal with. The consequences of deceiving Madame Su I experienced in my previous life. Su Qingxue's eyes held anger. You still say you don't like me. Just now I said I was going to Fang Yuan's birthday. Your eyes clearly showed jealousy. Miss, narcissism is an illness. It needs to be treated. Su Qingxue angrily grabbed my phone and turned to leave. I'll be back at 8 tonight. Come find me for my phone then. I'll explain to my mother myself. I angrily chased after her. Su Qingxue quickly got into the car, then she stepped on the gas. The door opened and the car drove off. My family was caught between Madame Su and Su Qingxue, and was extremely entangled. I was determined to make my father resign, and find a few more part-time jobs to earn money myself. I didn't have a phone. Naturally, I couldn't contact Madame Su. When I got home, I would have to explain to Madame Su. Moreover, without a phone, I couldn't take the bus, nor could I buy things. Today, I had to ask Yang Jian for help, to rent a shared bike and ride back. I thought Senior Xie, having not seen me for 3 days, probably wouldn't contact me. On the other hand, Xie Hanmo calculated the timing precisely and arrived at the bus stop. After waiting for 10 minutes, she got on the bus route that I might take. Arriving at a familiar stop, she immediately stood up straight, looking towards the front of the bus. But until the bus door closed, she didn't see me get on. Xie Hanmo's eyes held a hint of sadness, since the last time she and I got off the bus, and encountered Su Qingxue. I no longer took the bus. Is he avoiding me? Or because of Su Qingxue? Is he deliberately severing ties with me? She played innocent and found my WeChat and sent a message. How is the neon plant pot doing lately? Remember to give it some sun? But don't expose it to harsh sunlight. After this seemingly casual message was sent, she began to anxiously await a reply. However, the entire morning passed. Xie Hanmo still didn't receive a reply. Waiting until evening, I still hadn't replied. Xie Hanmo was pondering all day. She still decided to send a message to ask. Why no reply? You didn't accidentally kill it, did you? This time, it was very quick. A message came from the other side. Don't send messages to Lin Feng anymore from now on. Xie Hanmo's expression was a little heavy. She sent a question mark over. Then a red exclamation mark appeared. Did Lin Feng block her again? That's not right. Someone else used his phone to block me. Who? Was it Su Qingxue? Does Lin Feng really like her? They were together at the school gate. After saying goodbye to Yang Jian, I rode a shared bicycle home alone. While waiting for the traffic light at the intersection, Xie Hanmo was on the bus, saw me on the bicycle. Xie Hanmo found it hard to believe. He just didn't want to see me, so he rode a shared bicycle. It was snowing. I rode my bike slowly. Suddenly, I heard someone calling me from the roadside. The girl's voice was clear and low. It seemed to carry a hint of resentment, until a hand landed on my handlebars. I stopped. I looked up, my eyes meeting Xie Hanmo's. Xie Hanmo's expression was complex. Have you been riding your bike to and from school lately? Such a long distance. How long do you plan to keep biking? She wanted to confirm with me. Was I worried Su Qingxue would be angry and not want to see her on the bus? So I rode my bike home. If that was the case, then she wouldn't take the bus anymore. I still didn't know I had blocked Xie Hanmo on WeChat. On? Senior, why are you here? Xie Hanmo said guiltily. I was just passing by. What a coincidence. I pushed my bike along with Xie Hanmo. I honestly said, this morning when I came to school, Su Qingxue snatched my phone away. Now I don't have my phone, so I can't use my bus pass. I had to ask a classmate to scan a shared bike for me, and then ride it slowly home. Xie Hanmo had been distracted all day. She never expected such an answer. You said your phone is with Su Qingxue? I nodded. She often skips class. Madame Suo asked me to keep an eye on her for a bit, but after she found out, she got very angry, so she snatched my phone away. She wouldn't let me contact Madame Suo, so that's what happened. Xie Hanmo was secretly relieved. It was fortunate that I decided to get off the bus just now, to find him and clarify things. It suddenly started to drizzle from the sky. Xie Hanmo looked up. It's raining. Don't ride your bike anymore. Go find shelter from the rain first. Have you had dinner? I nodded obediently. Yes, I have. Then Xie Hanmo asked me again, have you had bubble tea yet? I found this question a bit strange. I haven't had any today. Let's go then. I'll treat you to bubble tea. The rain had started to fall, lightly. Everyone on the street was running. Xie Hanmo pulled me along as we ran. The entrance to the mall was already crowded with people seeking shelter from the rain. Xie Hanmo held my sleeve tightly, and we pushed our way in. The atmosphere in the bubble tea shop was strange. We both sat in silence, looking at the rain outside the window. In reality, we had only met a few times in total. I didn't know what to say, and Xie Hanmo didn't know what she was thinking either. I was pulled into the mall by Xie Hanmo to escape the rain, and had no idea that Su Qingxue was celebrating her birthday with Fang Yuan. Actually, she was extremely anxious. Fang Yuan knew Su Qingxue had always liked him, but he had always been aloof towards Su Qingxue before. He had never agreed to date her, but recently, he suddenly felt a sense of danger, because, he discovered, Su Qingxue cared more about the driver's son than he thought. On the occasion of this birthday, Fang Yuan directly confirmed their relationship with Su Qingxue. But unexpectedly, after hearing this, Su Qingxue showed no sign of joy. He looked at the heavy rain outside the window. His brows furrowed slightly. He took out a broken-screen phone from his pocket. Fang Yuan looked at the phone in Su Qingxue's hand in shock. He immediately became highly vigilant. Qingxue, whose phone is this? Su Qingxue was in a bad mood. Is Lin Feng the son of your family's driver? Why is his phone with you? Su Qingxue tapped on the phone. She saw it was already 9:30. This morning, to stop Lin Feng from telling Madame Suo that she skipped class to go out with Fang Yuan, she had snatched his phone. It was so late now. It was still raining outside. I wonder how Lin Feng is doing. Su Qingxue was a little annoyed. She wanted to be with Fang Yuan, but she had to go home. Finally, she said to Fang Yuan, why don't you come back with me? You can stay at my place today, and tomorrow, I'll drive you to school. Fang Yuan was stunned for a moment. He had only been to the old Suo manor when he was a child. He hadn't been back since he grew up. It seemed that this time Su Qingxue really wanted to confirm their relationship. It was already 10:30 p.m. when they arrived. The first thing Su Qingxue said when she met the butler was, tell Lin Feng to come see me. Miss, Lin Feng hasn't returned yet. He hasn't returned yet? Su Qingxue was immediately furious. He promised me he'd be back by 8 p.m. in exchange for my phone, so I rushed to bring Fang Yuan back from the hotel, and now he hasn't even returned. The butler quickly explained. Miss, it's so late and raining heavily, Lin Feng probably didn't bring an umbrella. Call and ask where he is, and have driver Lin pick him up. As soon as the butler's phone call was made, Su Qingxue, her phone rang. She impatiently turned off the phone. No need to bother about him. If he doesn't have an umbrella, can he buy one himself? Speaking of which, she thought, if I don't have my phone, how can I buy an umbrella? Fine, I'll go pick him up from school then. The butler hurriedly stopped her. Miss, please don't go. Madam is still waiting for you. Madam Suo had been very angry all day because she couldn't reach Suo Qingxue, couldn't reach me. Now, seeing that Suo Qingxue had brought Fang Yuan back, she was not feeling well at all. The butler looked at Fang Yuan again. Mr. Fang, I have already prepared the guest room for you. Why don't you go to your room and rest first? Fang Yuan looked at Suo Qingxue, feeling a little wronged. Qingxue, can I come to your room? The butler felt that this was not a good idea. Madame Suo was very angry. Wouldn't this be adding fuel to the fire? Suo Qingxue ignored the old butler's gaze. Reminder, I'm sorry, Fang Yuan. I can't be with you right now. You can go to my room and rest for a while. I'll go see my mother first. Meanwhile, Xie Hanmo and I were sitting in a cafe. Xie Hanmo proactively said the rain wouldn't stop anytime soon. Instead of waiting here, why not? Go upstairs and watch a movie. I feel like we're not close enough to watch a movie together. Senior, you really don't need to stay with me. I can just wait here for the rain to stop by myself. Have you forgotten about the time I encountered trouble on the bus? Encountered trouble? It's getting late too. It's dangerous for me to be alone without my phone. Are you really planning to ride your bike back? Xie Hanmo looked at me seriously. There was a hint of sternness in her eyes. Facing her gaze, I instinctively shook my head. Xie Hanmo stood up directly. Let's go. Let's go watch a movie. How about that popular animation lately? I always feel something is strange. Before I could even speak, Xie Hanmo looked down at her phone. It starts in 20 minutes. We can still buy tickets now. Want some popcorn? No. No more, right? My thoughts couldn't keep up with Xie Hanmo's speed. How could she ask me if I wanted to watch just now and have already bought the tickets in the next sentence? Okay, then I won't buy them. Let's go upstairs first. I wanted to say no again. I obediently followed behind Xie Hanmo. Seeing me like that, Xie Hanmo felt a tickle in her heart. She admitted that she was actually a little wicked. I was the type of person she liked. That day, the first time she saw me on the bus, she had been smitten. She had also planned how to slowly pursue me, but plans couldn't keep up with changes. Now she just wanted to speed things up. It was almost 11 p.m. when the movie ended. The rain outside had lessened considerably. Xie Hanmo said apologetically, I'm sorry for watching the movie with you. I didn't expect it would be so late when we went out. Want your family worry? I shook my head. I already used your phone to call my dad. He won't worry. That movie was great. It made me temporarily forget about the troubles at the Suo family's place. But now I still have to go back and face Madame Suo's anger. Xie Hanmo took out her phone. You're going back to the Suo manor? Give me the address. I'll call a car to take you home. It was 11:30 p.m. when I finally arrived at the old Suo manor. Stepping out of the car, I thanked Xie Hanmo, who was still in the car. I felt a little guilty thinking that Senior Xie Hanmo was truly too kind. After watching the car drive away, I turned and walked towards the Suo manor. As soon as I entered the main gate, I was startled by a dark figure standing beside the door. I felt a little nervous. Turning around, I saw Suo Qingxue standing at the door with a gloomy expression, staring at me. Miss Suo, what are you doing standing here? Suo Qingxue's voice was cold. Didn't I say I'd be back at 8? Why are you back so late? I always felt that Suo Qingxue has been treating me a bit strangely. Miss Suo, this is my private business. I don't need to report to you, do I? Can I have my phone back now? My slightly disgusted gaze made Suo Qingxue uncomfortable. She took out the phone but didn't return it to me immediately. Instead, she stared at me sternly and asked, Whose hat are you wearing? I was stunned for a moment, then realized I was still wearing Xie Hanmo's hat. It was raining tonight, and since I didn't have my phone, I couldn't buy an umbrella. A kind senior lent me her hat. After speaking, I stepped forward and snatched my phone back from Suo Qingxue. Suo Qingxue thought about the girl who had been on the bus with me before. Was she really just a kind senior? A hat worth thousands of yuan lent so casually? It seems she's indeed very kind. Paused. No way? A hat worth thousands of yuan? Suo Qingxue sneered. So that's why you stopped riding with me. Turns out you found a better person to cling to. What do you think? Ha ha. If mocking me can make you happier, then I'll just consider it a good deed. Suo Qingxue's mood worsened. My personality has always been very soft. When did I become like this? That night, she brought Fang Yuan home and had a huge argument with Madame Suo. In the end, Suo Qingxue, in anger, slammed the door and left. As a result, I still hadn't returned. She couldn't contact me, didn't even care about Fang Yuan resting in her room. She just stood waiting at the main gate of the villa, but she never expected this outcome. As I walked inside, I saw Fang Yuan standing at the entrance of the Suo family garden, as if waiting for someone. Fang Yuan ran quickly towards Suo Qingxue. Qingxue, I heard you and your mother arguing, and I heard your mother say she wanted to kick me out. You were gone for so long, and I was a little scared being alone. Or perhaps tonight I can take you home? I won't be here anymore. My mother seems very unhappy. I watched coldly from the sidelines. Su Qingxue actually brought Fang Yuan home. Madam Su, are you going to be so angry today that you get a heart attack? Su Qingxue hugged Fang Yuan to comfort him. Fang Yuan, you don't need to go back. I'm the one who brought you back. What right does my mother have to drive you away? Come home with me. If my mother says anything else, just find my grandfather. Fang Yuan was finally relieved after receiving Su Qingxue's promise. I looked at Su Qingxue, lost in love, and wondered if she had brain damage. I turned and went back to my room. When I took out my phone to find Xie Hanmo's WeChat ID, I discovered I couldn't find it. Just then, I received a friend request. It turned out that Xie Hanmo was sending me a friend request. I frowned. When did I delete Xie Hanmo? Could it be that Su Qingxue caused this? I pressed accept on the request, then I sent a message. Senior student, have you returned home yet? Xie Hanmo replied very quickly. I finally got my phone back. I am home now. Thank you for your concern. I hesitated for a long time before deciding to transfer 200 yuan to Xie Hanmo first. Thank you so much today, senior student. This is for the movie ticket and transportation. I hope you can accept it. Xie Hanmo did not accept my transfer. You don't need to return the money to me. I hope you can invite me again next time to watch a movie or for a meal, will you? Of course, senior student. I'll treat you to a meal tomorrow. Xie Hanmo received a satisfactory reply and secretly curved her lips. All right, it's settled. The next day, the grand drama of the Su family was about to begin. Madam Su woke up early. She asked the butler, "How was it last night? Fang Yuan didn't leave? Did they spend the night together?" The butler finally nodded helplessly. The young lady didn't allow us to see Mr. Fang off. Madam Su turned pale with anger. "Qingxue, there's nothing wrong with dating, but you can't have a child. Fang Yuan's father is about to go to jail. How unlucky it would be to get close to that family. My grandchild cannot have a grandfather who has been to jail." Madam Su pondered for a long time, then suddenly raised her head. "Go find the family doctor to prescribe some birth control pills. When I came out of my room, I accidentally overheard some maids whispering and chatting. Madam seems to be in a good mood today. I thought after Mr. Fang came downstairs, Madam would be angry when she saw him. To my surprise, they ate together. A complex look flashed in my eyes. In my past life, Su Qingxue did not bring Fang Yuan home. The two of them, even when they went abroad, had not yet defined their relationship. Then not long after, Su Qingxue was with me. After we started dating, the first time I went to the old Su family residence, Madam Su was also very polite to me and invited me to stay for dinner. At that time, I thought Madam Su had truly accepted me. To my surprise, Madam Su put something into the soup I drank, an overdose of birth control pills. Not long after drinking the soup, I felt a stomach ache and ran to the bathroom to vomit several times. Because of this, my body was damaged, and I lost my fertility afterwards. And Su Qingxue, after learning the truth, only said that she couldn't resist her mother. She brushed it off with a light remark. This time, the one who was given the medicine was Fang Yuan. I wonder what Su Qingxue will do now. I withdrew my thoughts and prepared to go out, only to be stopped by the butler in a hurry. "Lin Feng, Madam wishes to speak with you. Come with me first." I followed the butler to the lobby. Madam Su was having breakfast with Fang Yuan and Su Qingxue. Madam Su looked at Fang Yuan with a gentle expression. "I didn't have any objections to you before. It's mainly because Qingxue is still too young. I was worried she would neglect her studies because of dating." Madam Su's attitude changed significantly. Fang Yuan couldn't believe it. "Auntie, I know. I will urge Qingxue to study hard. Actually, although they slept in the same bed last night, Su Qingxue did not allow Fang Yuan to touch her." At this moment, Madam Su pushed a bowl of bird's nest porridge in front of Fang Yuan. Her eyes were full of affection. "Drink this bowl of porridge to nourish yourself. You've become too thin." Fang Yuan smiled and began to obediently eat the porridge. Su Qingxue next to him frowned tightly. Fang Yuan was clearly beside her. Her mother had also accepted Fang Yuan, but she couldn't understand what she was still upset about. Until I walked in, Su Qingxue saw my figure and immediately sat up a little straighter. I didn't look at her. I politely asked Madam Su, "Madam, what did you want to see me for?" Madam Su smiled. "I've heard about what happened yesterday, Qingxue, to prevent you from continuing to take photos and to monitor her studies. Did she snatch your phone?" I nodded calmly. Su Qingxue frowned uncomfortably. "Mother, do you still want him to continue monitoring me?" Madam Su shook her head. "Of course not. I just want to say that you cannot bully Lin Feng like that. Why would you snatch someone's phone out of nowhere? It's so inconvenient without a phone." Saying that, Madam Su took out a new phone. "I saw that the screen of your phone was cracked. I bought you this new one. It's also to thank you for keeping an eye on Qingxue for me a few days ago. From today onwards, you don't need to watch her anymore. Fang Yuan will help me watch her." At this moment, Fang Yuan had finished the bowl of bird's nest porridge and smiled sweetly. "Auntie, don't worry. I will definitely urge her to study hard." I inwardly sneered and said obediently, thank you, madam. You'll head to school now." Su Qingxue immediately stood up to follow. Her movements were a bit hasty. "It's getting late. I have to go to school too." Fang Yuan also stood up to follow, but right after he clutched his stomach, his face turned pale immediately. "Qingxue, my stomach hurts so much." "Don't worry. I'll take you to the hospital right away, driver. Hurry and take us to the hospital." The driver, looking through the rearview mirror, saw Fang Yuan's condition wasn't good and couldn't help but ask, "Mr. Fang, did you eat something you shouldn't have?" As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Yuan said in a panic, No, it wasn't. I only had a bowl of bird's nest porridge today. Saying that, he looked at Su Qingxue with a look of shock. Su Qingxue's face darkened because she finally remembered something from her past life. She remembered a time when she brought me to the Su residence after having dinner with her mother. I also experienced severe stomach pain. At that time, all tests were done, and 3 days later, it was discovered that I had taken an overdose of birth control pills. Because of this, Su Qingxue had a big argument with me. She thought I took the birth control pills myself. At that time, I suspected Madame Su had poisoned me, but Su Qingxue didn't believe it. At this moment, Su Qingxue looked at Fang Yuan's symptoms, which were exactly the same as mine in her memory. Fang Yuan said weakly, "Qingxue, is there something wrong with the bird's nest porridge I ate?" Su Qingxue suddenly shouted, "Stop the car, driver! You take Fang Yuan to the hospital first. I'll be there shortly after." She strode back to the old Su family residence, and at this moment, Madame Su was instructing the servants to clear the dishes. Su Qingxue stared coldly at the servant. "Wait, leave the bowl that Fang Yuan ate from." Madame Su looked at Su Qingxue in surprise. Su Qingxue's face was terrifyingly grim. "Mother, tell me. The bird's nest porridge Fang Yuan just had, did you put birth control pills in it? Qingxue, you are truly hopelessly infatuated with love. Fang Yuan has a stomach ache, and you suspect I poisoned him? I am your biological mother. How dare you suspect me like this?" That's right. In my past life, Madame Su also used these words to deal with Su Qingxue. Su Qingxue at that time chose to side with Madame Su. But now, intense regret and guilt have swept away her reason. She and I were together for 5 years and still didn't get pregnant. Madame Su at that time said she didn't dislike my background, agreed to let me be a live-in son-in-law. But on the condition that we had a child, Su Qingxue's chest heaved with anger. "You are my biological mother. You wouldn't do these things. Today you said you agree to me and Fang Yuan being together, and you will also agree to me and him getting married in the future. But the prerequisite is, we must have our own child, right?" Madame Su was stunned. How did Su Qingxue know about her plan? Su Qingxue looked at Madame Su's expression and shouted in despair, "Are you even human, mother? How can you be so cruel?" I had foreseen the drama of the Su family, but I wasn't interested. In this life, all matters of the Su family have nothing to do with me. As soon as I got on the bus, I unconsciously looked for Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo was indeed standing at the bus stop, looking in my direction. I squeezed through. "Senior student, good morning." Xie Hanmo's eyes held a smile. "Good morning, senior student. I've brought your hat back. It was washed yesterday. It's still not dry today. I'll return it to you after it's dry tomorrow." Xie Hanmo looked at me and said with a smile, "Okay." Then she suddenly asked, "Lin Feng, do you have a class this afternoon?" I shook my head. "No, but I have to work part-time at a restaurant this afternoon." "Which restaurant do you work at part-time?" "It's a restaurant called Renjian Yan Huo Mortals Peace and Fire. You've probably heard of it, right?" Xie Hanmo paused for a moment. She had heard of it and more. That restaurant was opened by her mother. When Xie Hanmo and I got off the bus, Xie Hanmo asked another question. "From now on, every evening, do you have to work part-time at Renjian Yan Huo?" I nodded. "Yes, the requirement there is from 7 to 9 p.m. Xie Hanmo nodded and said nothing more. After we parted ways, we each went to school. Su Qingxue didn't come to school at all today. Of course, I guess for the next few days, she won't be coming to school either. Fang Yuan had to be hospitalized for at least 3 days. After that, he would probably go abroad with his mother. The Su Qingxue of the past life still resented Fang Yuan for leaving without saying goodbye and remembered it for many years. Now she can finally say a proper goodbye to Fang Yuan. When school ended, Yang Jian was still gossiping with me. You tell me, in the gossip group, Fang Yuan from the adjacent technical school and Su Qingxue have confirmed their relationship. Someone at the hospital funded by the Su family saw it, they say. They say that Fang Yuan, moi nai kang look kang ya, leaning close to my ear and whispering, they say that Fang Yuan had an allergic reaction to the birth control pills and had to be hospitalized for an IV drip. Yang Jian Kamthan Nai. That Su Kum Yin Raduk. These rich kids really go too far with their antics. I was extremely surprised. How did your gossip group find out about this? They even know about Fang Yuan taking birth control pills? Doesn't the Su family's hospital keep secrets? Yang Jianthan B Nai. Lin Feng. You don't know about this. Although that hospital belongs to the Su family, it has other shareholders. Moreover, there are many people who like Miss Su. They are jealous of Fang Yuan and want to dig up Fang Yuan's information. There is strength in numbers. What can be dug up? Hearing Yang Jian say that, I understood because in my past life when I was hospitalized, news about me also spread everywhere, saying the driver's son was vain, climbing the social ladder to seduce Miss Su, and so on. Later on, the rumors became even more absurd, claiming my college entrance exam scores were fake and that I had stolen someone else's identity to enroll. I shook my head and sighed and said to Yang Jian, "Don't get involved in these matters, just listen. The Su family is not a place we can casually gossip about." Yang Jian looked at his phone and nodded. "Don't worry, I know my limits. Su Qingxue didn't come to school and didn't even come home. I had 2 more peaceful days. But before long, I ran into Su Qingxue again. This time, it was at the Nanjian restaurant where I work part-time. I was wearing the black server uniform, wearing an apron, cleaning up plates and cutlery. Su Qingxue led Liu Ruyan and Wang Xin to a private room at the restaurant. On the way to the private room, Su Qingxue glanced around the room and saw me carrying a plate. Liu Ruyan said in surprise, "Qingxue, Lin Feng is working here part-time again? Is he that desperate for money?" Wang Xin nudged Liu Ruyan and said, "Why are you talking so much? Let's go quickly." Liu Ruyan glanced at Su Qingxue, knowing that Su Qingxue was unhappy, so she didn't say anything more. Su Qingxue's life had not been smooth these past 2 days. Fang Yuan had been hospitalized for 2 days. The doctor said that medication had caused significant damage to his body and he would need good recovery afterwards, but in the short term, he would certainly lose his fertility. The short term the doctor mentioned was actually 1 to 2 years, but Su Qingxue knew in her past life it had taken her 5 years to get him pregnant. If Fang Yuan was also like this, then sooner or later he would find out the truth. How would she explain it then? Fang Yuan was discharged from the hospital today and returned home to rest and recover. Su Qingxue hid the fact that Madame Su had poisoned him. She didn't know how to explain it to Fang Yuan, nor did she know how to face the weakened Fang Yuan. More importantly, she suddenly really wanted to see me. Seeing me in the distance, carrying a plate, softly and humbly explaining dishes to customers, a surge of anger rose within Su Qingxue. Her face darkened, and she ignored Liu Ruyan and Wang Xin, striding towards me. Today, I encountered a very difficult middle-aged customer. She refused to order properly and kept asking me, "You must be new here, right? I haven't seen you before. Are you a student from a nearby university?" I smiled and nodded. "Yes, that's right. Madam, what would you like to order?" The other party smiled and said, "You're so young to be working, part-time in a restaurant, you must be short on money, right? Your student loans must be quite high, huh? Can you even afford to pay them back yourself?" My smile was barely holding on. I suppressed myself and said, "None of that is any of your concern, madam, so please take a look at the menu and decide what you'd like to eat, and I'll come back later to take your order." With that, I turned to leave. But then the customer suddenly said, "Oh my goodness, I said I wasn't ordering. What kind of service is this?" Honestly, I had only been working here for 2 days, but this was the first time I had encountered such a difficult customer. I was about to go back and get the shift manager when suddenly I saw Su Qingxue approaching with a cold expression. She suddenly kicked the woman's table, knocking over the entire wooden dining table. I took 2 steps back, staring at Su Qingxue in shock. "What is this customer? What are you doing?" After saying that, I quickly went to push Su Qingxue outside, but Su Qingxue blocked me, staring grimly at the middle-aged woman and saying, "If you want to eat, eat properly. If not, get out." The middle-aged woman suddenly stood up, pointing at Su Qingxue. "What does eating or not eating have to do with you? How dare you kick my table? Do you know who I am?" Next to the woman were 2 friends, and all 3 of them aggressively approached Su Qingxue. Su Qingxue had been incredibly frustrated these past few days. This time, she refused to hold back any longer. Without a word, she threw a strong punch to the opponent's face. I was stunned. Immediately, a brawl broke out. Seeing this, Liu Ruyan and Wang Xin, Liu Ruyan cursed in frustration and without hesitation rushed to help. Wang Xin followed closely behind. The scene became even more chaotic. I quickly contacted the shift manager. The shift manager hurriedly arrived with 4 or 5 security guards. After a lot of effort, they finally managed to separate them. The middle-aged woman's face was bruised and battered because Su Qingxue had focused only on her. The middle-aged woman's clothes were wrinkled. She angrily exclaimed, "Call the police! I want to call the police! This incident caused a huge stir." Everyone in the restaurant turned to look, whispering and gossiping. Upon hearing the news, the restaurant manager rushed out of his office, extremely worried. As soon as he saw Su Qingxue standing in the crowd, his heart suddenly sank. The manager quickly approached Su Qingxue, saying with a look of shock, "Miss Su, why did you suddenly come here today? You didn't even give me any advance notice." A hint of fear was evident in his tone. After all, a wealthy young lady like Su Qingxue at this restaurant had a reserved VIP private room. As a high-level member of the restaurant, Su Qingxue was always a customer the manager paid special attention to. He didn't want this incident to offend this esteemed guest. However, when the manager's gaze fell upon Su Qingxue, his face immediately turned pale and cold sweat poured down his face. He saw that Su Qingxue's mouth was bruised and her hair and clothes were disheveled. It was clear she had just been in a fierce fight. Who wouldn't be terrified? Dare to hit the young lady of the Su family? The manager's heart suddenly pounded faster, stammering slightly. What exactly happened? His voice was filled with panic and worry. He knew very well that Su Qingxue was Madame Su's darling. If Madame Su found out that her precious daughter had gotten into a fight here and even had a bruised mouth, the consequences would be truly unimaginable. Madame Su would surely fly into a rage and might even come herself to demand justice. The middle-aged woman was still aggressively shouting, "Are you the manager of this restaurant? You've come at the right time. I was dining peacefully at your restaurant, but what happened? Your staff neglected me, and on top of that, her friend assaulted me. I want to call the police. I want to sue you." The restaurant manager frowned, turning to look at me standing beside him. I was about to explain when I saw Su Qingxue step in front of me, staring grimly at the middle-aged woman, saying, "What does it have to do with the staff? I wanted to hit you because you're an eyesore. You want to sue me?" Then go ahead and try. Liu Ruyan frowned and immediately took out her phone, saying, all right, I'll call my lawyer now to deal with you. We're hungry, so we're going to eat now. The restaurant manager knew very well that these young ladies were not to be trifled with. He immediately made a decision and quickly instructed the security guards to escort the 3 women to the back office of the restaurant. Then, he turned to face me, saying sternly, come here for a moment. Listen carefully. You must treat Miss Su exceptionally well, and absolutely no mistakes are allowed. Understood? I nodded quickly. Yes, manager. Seeing this, the manager breathed a sigh of relief and quickly followed the 3 women who had been beaten into the office. He understood clearly that this matter absolutely could not escalate, otherwise it would not only affect the restaurant's reputation, but he might also bring unnecessary trouble upon himself. More importantly, he dared not offend a powerful family like the Sus. Therefore, the best approach now was to first deal with the 3 assaulted customers, discuss compensation with them seriously, and try to resolve the situation as quickly as possible. At most, they would offer some additional compensation, which would still be much better than offending the Su family. The Nanjian restaurant operated on a membership system. Because privacy was highly valued, many tycoons and celebrities preferred to dine and meet here. The meeting rooms here cost 5 figures a day to rent. Many people wanted to do business with celebrities or establish connections with the super rich, so they inevitably would come here. If others found out that their members had been assaulted in the restaurant, it would greatly damage the restaurant's reputation. The restaurant's shift manager followed Manager Vung and asked the manager softly, what should we do about that new intern? Manager Vung was very annoyed at this moment. Although this was a customer issue, the new intern, on his first day, had caused trouble. He said with some irritation, fine, pay him his wages and tell him not to come back. The shift manager nodded. Yes, manager, I'll handle it right away. The shift manager went to find me but couldn't. He asked others and learned that I knew Su Qingxue. At this moment, I had already been called into Su Qingxue's private room. So he went to the door of Su Qingxue's private room, found the private room door closed, and Su Qingxue's voice could be heard from inside. So what if I hit her? Lin Feng, are you blaming me? I was helping you. Do you want her to help you pay off your student loans? So you're that kind of person? I looked at her speechlessly and calmly said, Miss Su, I'm not blaming you. It's just that today's incident caused quite a scene. When I get home, Madam might ask me about it. As soon as I receive Madam. Su Qingxue suddenly slammed the table hard, making a loud crashing sound. Liu Ruyan frowned. Qingxue, calm down. Su Qingxue let out a cold laugh. She stared at me and asked, Lin Feng, do you always listen to my mother like that? Do whatever she tells you to do? Seeing me so obedient and compliant, Su Qingxue was furious. She thought to herself, it's a shame I wasn't reborn, otherwise I would have known that in my past life Madame Su had given me an overdose of birth control pills, resulting in days in the hospital, even damaging my health and causing me to lose my fertility. If I had known that, perhaps I wouldn't have listened to Madame Su back then. I calmly replied, it's not about obeying Madame, I'm just very bothered. It's precisely because I don't want Madame to find me that I hope you won't cause trouble in front of me. Su Qingxue, I don't want to know what you've done at all. If you could just stay away from me, that would be the best. Su Qingxue stared at me, her eyes reddening. These are just angry words from you. I don't believe them. I always like to manage him, not letting him stay up late, not letting him drink alcohol, not letting him confront Madame Su. I also cared about him a lot. When he was hospitalized with illness, I stayed by his side day and night without rest. I have him in my heart. I care about him deeply. Su Qingxue sat there, her eyes fixed on me. Are you deliberately saying these things to provoke me, Lin Feng? I said indifferently, whatever you think. Miss Su, I'm still working, so please excuse me while I get back to work. With that, I opened the door and went out, and met eyes with the restaurant's shift manager standing in the hallway. The shift manager said a bit awkwardly, Lin Feng, do you know Miss Su? I nodded shyly. She's my classmate. The shift manager felt that we were more than just classmates. But the shift manager didn't press further. He said with a troubled expression, Lin Feng, today's incident caused quite a disturbance and it has negatively impacted the restaurant. Our boss doesn't know about this yet, but he will certainly hold us accountable. You are an intern. This is not something you need to take responsibility for, but it seems you won't be able to work here anymore. The shift manager phrased it tactfully, but I understood. I've been fired after less than 2 days of work. Unexpected, but reasonable. This was my first time looking for a part-time job, and I never expected this outcome. I feel a bit like a failure. But I quickly picked myself up and I sincerely apologized to the shift manager. I'm sorry, manager. It was you who hired me, and in the end, I caused you trouble. The shift manager hastily waved his hand. It's fine, you don't need to apologize. We all know this wasn't your fault. But there's no other way. Our members all have significant backgrounds. We're in the service industry, so we just have to endure some grievances. Some service industries even have grievance awards for employees. You can imagine how much resentment ordinary service staff have to endure. In the private room, the dim, gloomy lighting seemed to be affected by the suffocating atmosphere. Su Qingxue's face turned cold and grim, like an ice sculpture about to shatter. She had just gone through a fierce fight, her thumb clenched tightly, ripping open due to the excessive force. Fresh red blood slowly seeped out, looking quite alarming. There was also a bruise on the corner of her mouth, the mark of an inadvertently strong punch left behind. It was slightly swollen now, looking rather intimidating. The restaurant staff quickly brought some ice, carefully handing it to her, gesturing for her to apply it to her face to reduce swelling. Liu Ruyan and Wang Xin stood beside her, with scratches on their hands and necks, remnants from the recent brawl. However, compared to Su Qingxue, they were in better condition. After all, Su Qingxue's injuries were on her face, which were very prominent. Their faces were uninjured, and without the scratches on their bodies, outsiders wouldn't be able to tell that they had just been in a fierce fight. Su Qingxue carelessly tossed the ice onto the table, the sound of ice hitting the tabletop echoing sharply. In this quiet private room, the sound was even more jarring. Her expression grew even darker, and she said coldly, "He clearly saw me fighting for him and injured to this extent. Yet he didn't even offer me any medicine." Her voice was filled with unwillingness and disappointment. "You must understand, even this ice was brought by another staff member. I wasn't even present from start to finish." In Su Qingxue's heart, a large boulder seemed to be blocking her, making her feel extremely uncomfortable. Her thoughts involuntarily drifted back to her past life. Back then, how clingy I was to him. Once when he was injured, I was so worried my eyes turned red, tears welling up, and I couldn't help but burst into tears. Not only did I rush to buy medicine, but after returning, I carefully applied the medicine to him, my movements gentle, afraid of causing him even the slightest pain. Even when he was harshly scolded by Madame Su, I would quietly wait by the door. When he came out, I would personally comfort him, offering him warmth. Back then, I hadn't started working part-time. My life was simple and pure, and my eyes and heart were filled only with him. Suddenly, Su Qingxue's heart trembled. So many things had changed. Everything was so different from her past life. Could it be that Lin Feng had also reincarnated, just like her? As soon as this thought appeared, she immediately denied it. No, that's impossible. Su Qingxue unconsciously thought, if I had truly reincarnated, with my hatred for Madame Su, I would absolutely not want to stay at the Su family's house, and even less would I want to listen to Madame Su. Just then, Liu Ruyan looked at Su Qingxue, frowning slightly, and said softly, "Qingxue, you were a bit too impulsive today. Did you know? This restaurant is owned by the Xie family. If you caused trouble here, and they went to your father, it would be a big problem." Her voice carried a hint of worry and reproach. Su Qingxue's expression suddenly froze, a look of surprise flashing in her eyes. She couldn't help but ask, "This restaurant belongs to the Xie family?" In her mind, the image of Xie Hanmo unconsciously surfaced. Which Xie family? Is it the Xie family she knows? Xie Hanmo's Xie family? Seeing this, Liu Ruyan nodded. The Xie family has been in the restaurant business for generations, and when it comes to catering companies in Haithun, she basically knows them like the back of her hand. She leaned down slightly and said in a low voice, "The main business of the Xie family is in artificial intelligence and new energy, and they are very famous in these fields. But a few years ago, they suddenly ventured into the food and beverage industry. It's said that the youngest daughter of the family liked this restaurant, so they invested in it. I wonder if it has anything to do with Xie Hanmo, since Xie Hanmo also has the surname Xie. There are plenty of coincidences in the world." Wang Xin, standing beside them, frowned and said, "That can't be right. The Xie family has such large industries, involved in so many fields, a large family scale, a large enterprise. Would they let their children study agriculture? That Xie Hanmo, I heard she's studying farming, right? The gap is too huge." In her perception, most children from wealthy families are involved in the core industry of the family, the core business of the family. Studying agriculture is really hard to imagine. Liu Ruyan rubbed her chin, her eyes showing contemplation. "I'm not sure about that. Our families have never had any dealings with the Xie family. The Xie family is not a native clan of Haithun. They are from Bakthun, and their main influence is also concentrated in Bakthun. As natives of Haithun, Su Qingxue and her friends have never really interacted with the descendants of the Xie family. They've never really had contact. But in their hearts, they all felt, it's probably not this Xie family. After all, what powerful family would let their daughters study agriculture? This is truly unheard of, simply unbelievable." After hearing all this, Su Qingxue suddenly stood up. She said in a low voice, "I'm going out to take a look." Saying this, she strode quickly towards the door of the private room, her steps slightly hurried. After Su Qingxue left, the private room fell silent for a moment. Wang Xin looked at Liu Ruyan, scratching her head, and said softly, "Ruyan, don't you feel it?" Qingxue's attitude towards Lin Feng is very strange. Her eyes held a hint of probing. Liu Ruyan's expression immediately turned displeased. Her tone carried a bit of dissatisfaction. She's wavering between Lin Feng and Feng Yuan, caring about one and unable to let go of the other. If she continues like this, the result will be losing both, and she'll regret it when it's too late. As she said these words, a complex emotion flickered in her eyes, as if she was very disappointed with Su Qingxue's behavior. Wang Xin looked at Liu Ruyan and vaguely felt that Liu Ruyan seemed a bit displeased with Su Qingxue, but she didn't say anything more, only sighing inwardly in silence. Elsewhere, I had changed into my clothes in the staff changing room, neatly folded my uniform, and put it in the locker. After packing up, I prepared to leave. I picked up my phone to check it and immediately frowned. On the screen, several messages from Su Qingxue appeared. It was from one of her alternate WeChat accounts. Lin Feng, where did you go? Are you still in contact with Xie Hanmo? Did she help you find this part-time job? Lin Feng, don't take the bus anymore from now on. I'll have Uncle Lin drive you to school. I looked at these messages perplexed and felt a bit speechless. In my past life, Su Qingxue always despised me, even speaking harsh words to me, saying that me taking the bus with her was an attempt to get her attention. But now, even though I stopped, she's still not satisfied? Moreover, why did Su Qingxue suddenly mention Xie Hanmo? What does this have to do with Sister Xie Shui? I shook my head helplessly, did not reply to Su Qingxue, and left the restaurant directly. Su Qingxue searched all over the restaurant, her eyes filled with anxiety, but still couldn't find my figure. A thought suddenly flashed through her mind. Could it be that Xie Hanmo had taken me away? After all, this could very well be the restaurant owned by the master of the Xie family. The moment she thought of this possibility, her heart felt as if an invisible hand was squeezing it. The feeling of restlessness grew stronger. She was restless and agitated, completely unable to calm down. The food in front of her seemed to have lost its color and flavor, making it difficult for her to swallow. The private room she was in now felt like a cage, making her feel suffocated. She couldn't sit still any longer. She immediately led her two close friends, Liu Ruyan and Wang Xin, to a table outside. Only Liu Ruyan and Wang Xin could tolerate her sitting down. Her two close friends who grew up with her could indulge her. If it were anyone else, they would have probably given up on her long ago, with her current erratic and difficult temper. Wang Xin looked at Su Qingxue with a dazed expression, feeling a bit heartbroken. She called a waiter after ordering and asked on behalf of Su Qingxue, "That new intern is our classmate. Has he finished work yet?" Actually, she didn't need to state it clearly. Everyone in the restaurant knew about their relationship. After all, not long ago, they had a loud argument with another customer in the restaurant over that intern, making it known to everyone. The waiter, upon hearing their question, leaned down slightly and said softly, "He seems to have left. Because of what just happened, our manager fired him." His voice held a hint of sympathy. When Wang Xin heard this, her expression immediately turned blank. She instinctively glanced at Su Qingxue, her eyes full of astonishment. She couldn't help but exclaim, "What? He was fired?" Her voice, due to the shock, unconsciously rose a few octaves. The waiter nodded gently, confirming the news. Upon hearing this, Liu Ruyan's brows furrowed tightly. She looked towards Su Qingxue, with reproach in her eyes. "Qingxue, you really went too far this time." She clearly knew, today was my first day at work. I originally thought I could use this part-time job to train myself and support myself. And now I've been fired because of Su Qingxue's impulsive actions. I must be heartbroken. Su Qingxue's expression immediately changed, a sense of guilt rising in her heart. But she quickly put on a brave face and said, "So what if he's fired? It's just that the work environment here is complicated and not suitable for him." Although she said this, her eyes revealed a hint of unease. She couldn't help but start overthinking. Why would he suddenly take up a part-time job? Could it be that the Su family paid Lin Feng's father too little, making Lin Feng not have enough pocket money? So he had to take on a part-time job? But even though Su Qingxue spoke boldly, she couldn't calm down inside. She sat on the chair as if sitting on thorns. After a moment, she couldn't sit still any longer. She immediately got up and hurried towards the restaurant entrance, to leave the restaurant to find me. The moment she reached the door, Liu Ruyan, with quick eyes and hands, stepped forward to block Su Qingxue. Liu Ruyan looked at Su Qingxue, her expression stern, and said, "Qingxue, I advise you not to go look for Lin Feng anymore. Didn't Feng Yuan just get out of the hospital? You should go visit him." According to Liu Ruyan, Su Qingxue right now is torn between Lin Feng and Feng Yuan. This behavior not only hurts both boys, but also throws her into chaos. Hearing this, Su Qingxue's expression immediately darkened. She said with a sullen face, "Why are even you stopping me? Why aren't you letting me go find him?" Liu Ruyan, don't tell me you're also interested in him, ever since Lin Feng gave you flowers at the freshman party? Are you also interested in him? Her tone carried a hint of anger and accusation, as if confirming Liu Ruyan had ulterior motives. Liu Ruyan frowned, her expression becoming extremely grim. She looked at Su Qingxue, her tone hardening. "Qingxue, listen to yourself. What are you saying? You're being too impulsive. Calm down." Liu Ruyan realized that whenever it involved Lin Feng, Su Qingxue seemed to transform into someone else, always becoming incredibly impulsive, completely losing her usual reason. Moreover, Su Qingxue's personality was already cold and selfish, rarely considering things from others' perspectives. Like this, it would be easy to cause disgust and hurt to those around her, but she herself was completely unaware. She only did as she pleased. Su Qingxue let out a cold laugh, her eyes filled with disdain. "Don't meddle in my affairs. I know what I'm doing." With that, she forcefully shook off Liu Ruyan's hand and walked straight to her car. Opening the car door, starting the engine, she sped off in a cloud of dust. Watching this scene, Wang Xin's expression was complicated. She said to Liu Ruyan, "Ruyan, why did you get into an argument with Qingxue? She's always been like this. The more you talk, the less she'll listen." She paused for a moment, then asked, puzzled, "Weren't you the type who never got involved in such matters before? Why are you saying so much today?" Liu Ruyan was silent for a long time. "I just can't stand to see her causing more trouble for others." The others she was referring to were obvious without her needing to say them, and Wang Xin knew she meant Lin Feng. Hearing this, Wang Xin couldn't help but look at Liu Ruyan again. She felt Liu Ruyan's behavior today was a bit unusual. The usually quiet and reserved person, who always played the role of an outsider, was now acting like a busybody. Not long after leaving the restaurant, my heart was filled with frustration. I walked straight towards the bus stop. Standing at the bus stop, I tilted my head up slightly, my gaze lost in the distance. The streetlights began to illuminate one by one, their dim yellow glow casting upon my weary face, adding to my solitude. Just then, a red sedan, like a whirlwind, approached. It stopped abruptly not far from the bus stop. The car door quickly opened, and Su Qingxue quickly stepped out. Her lips were still bruised, a mark from the recent brawl. However, the intensity in her eyes, compared to when she was at the restaurant, was no longer as severe. Instead, her face showed a complex mix of impatience and confusion. She quickly approached me, breathless, and in a low voice asked, "Why didn't you reply to my message? Did you not see it, or did you not want to reply?" Her tone carried a hint of an almost imperceptible sense of grievance. I slowly turned my head, calmly looking at her. There was not a ripple in my eyes, as if Su Qingxue in front of me was just an unimportant stranger. I said indifferently, "Miss Su, do you need anything else from me?" My tone was even, but it was like a cold knife piercing directly into Su Qingxue's heart. Hearing such a cold response, Su Qingxue felt a sharp pain in her heart. She couldn't bear being treated so coldly by me. Her brows furrowed tightly, a flash of anger mixed with unwillingness crossing her face. Su Qingxue said, "Lin Feng, I got into a fight for you. Don't you have anything to say?" Her voice unconsciously rose a few notches, as if trying to attract my attention this way. Being questioned by Su Qingxue like this left me speechless, and the irritation in my heart grew stronger. I bit my lower lip slightly, a hint of disgust flashing in my eyes. However, the fact that Su Qingxue got into a fight for me tonight was indeed unexpected. I paused for a few seconds, took a deep breath, trying to calm my emotions. Looking at Su Qingxue, I said gently but with firm conviction, "Miss Su, please don't do things like this in the future. I won't be grateful for it. I only find it troublesome." I stared into Su Qingxue's eyes, as if trying to convey everything in my heart to her without holding back. I only said what Su Qingxue didn't want to hear. "I don't need you to do these things for me. In fact, if you hadn't shown up today, I would have been fine, and the restaurant wouldn't have gotten into this mess. Do you know how much inconvenience your momentary impulse has caused others? The manager is still contacting the PR department to handle this matter, and I lost this job because of it." Although my voice was gentle, each word was like a needle stabbing Su Qingxue. Hearing these words, Su Qingxue froze completely. Her expression shifted from anger to a desperate hunger. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something. Although my voice was gentle and my emotions were stable, she could clearly sense from my calm and gentle demeanor my clear disgust towards her and my impatience. After so many days since my rebirth, she seemed to remain lost in the memories of her past life, unable to adapt to the current me, so completely different. I actually hated her. This was an absurd thought in her mind. How could this be possible? Seeing Su Qingxue not respond, I gently pushed her aside as she blocked my way. Instead, I calmly said, "If there's nothing else, you'll be going now." With that, I started to walk away. Seeing this, Su Qingxue suddenly seemed to snap back to reality. She immediately reached out and tightly grabbed my arm. Her grip was so strong it felt like she was crushing my wrist. She stared intently at me, a hint of panic in her eyes. She asked, "Why did you suddenly start working? Are you short on money?" I never worked part-time in my past life. This point confused her greatly. Pulled back by her, my body stiffened slightly. Turning back, I gave a surprising answer. "I don't want to go back to the Su family. I don't want to see you." Su Qingxue's hand instantly loosened. She stood there, stunned. Her facial expression was indescribably complex. There was shock, disappointment, and an unprecedented sense of helplessness. I pulled my arm away from Su Qingxue. Just then, a bus slowly pulled into the stop. Without even looking at the bus number, I hurried onto the bus. Su Qingxue, always arrogant and selfish, stood frozen in place, her eyes tinged with hurt, watching my retreating back. I could feel her gaze like a chain, tightly gripping me, but I didn't look back. In reality, I am a very soft-hearted person. When I first came to the Su family, seeing Su Qingxue argue with her mother, run away from home, and even run out into the storm, I could never bring myself to ignore it. I followed her, comforting her, buying her drinks, bringing her an umbrella. However, my kindness did not bring about good in return. This Su Qingxue, accustomed to being a pampered young lady, takes others' kindness for granted. Was I a lovesick fool in my past life? But the current me, after reincarnation, will never fall into the same trap again. At the same time, on the other side of the city, Xie Hanmo quickly walked to the back of the Renjianyanhuo restaurant. The security guard at the door nodded slightly at her, as if signaling, seeming very familiar with her. She didn't stop, but directly pushed open the back door and entered the restaurant. By the time Xie Hanmo arrived at the restaurant, the chaos in the restaurant had long been resolved. Those 3 assaulted customers refused compensation and kept making a scene, demanding the police be called. Manager Vung could only contact the legal department to handle it, and simultaneously contacted the Su family. To put it bluntly, this involved scholar Su King. When the restaurant couldn't handle it themselves, they had to contact the Su family to intervene. After all, the restaurant was willing to compensate and cooperate, but they couldn't agree to unreasonable demands. After Xie Hanmo arrived at the restaurant, she first went to her private room to drop off her bag, then went out to the main lobby. Her gaze swept over the servers in their work uniforms. She didn't see me. Her brows furrowed slightly, and she went to the kitchen to check on the staff inside. Many people knew Xie Hanmo. They all thought the owner had come to inspect their work. Everyone worked even harder. At this moment, Manager Vung, having just finished dealing with matters, came out of his office and immediately saw Xie Hanmo. He was startled. He hurried over and cautiously asked, "Mrs. Xie, have you come to hold us accountable? This incident was indeed due to my negligence, but I didn't expect that the new part-time employee was Ms. Su's boyfriend. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dared to hire him." Xie Hanmo stopped. She turned back indifferently, her dark, deep eyes fixed on Manager Vung. Manager Vung, who had been in the industry for over 10 years, felt his hair stand on end for the first time from being stared at by a young person. He felt a chill run down his spine. He explained nervously, "This matter is almost resolved. We've handed it over to the legal and PR departments. They'll be here soon." Xie Hanmo cut off his explanation. "The Miss Su you just mentioned? Is it Su Qingxue, the young lady from the Su family in Haicheng? She's here?" Manager Vung thought, "Oh dear, so all my explanations. Miss Xie didn't know about this at all, so she couldn't possibly have come to hold him accountable." Manager Vung breathed a sigh of relief. He wiped his forehead and said to Xie Hanmo, "Oh yes, this evening, the young lady from the Su family came with friends. Coincidentally, her boyfriend was here and got into an argument with customers, so Miss Su rushed in and assaulted them." Manager Vung recounted the events that occurred in the restaurant tonight, explaining everything clearly to Xie Hanmo. The more Xie Hanmo listened, the more her brows furrowed. She asked coldly, "Those 3 uncivilized customers who publicly harassed our staff, how dare we welcome members like them in the future? Are we lacking these 3 customers?" Manager Vung was taken aback. He said, "We're not lacking, are we?" Xie Hanmo's voice turned cold, saying, "Put them on the blacklist. And what about that part-time employee? Is his name Lin Feng?" Manager Vung was even more surprised. "Yes. Do you know him too, Ms. Xie?" Xie Hanmo was a little annoyed. This afternoon, she had been late because she went to the fields with her professor to check on the crops, so she was late. Who would have thought such a thing would happen? She rubbed her forehead, saying, "The part-time workers have a hard time too. Please don't blame him." Manager Wang broke out in a cold sweat. He just wanted to hire a part-time employee but ended up recruiting a bodhisattva like this. Why is Miss Su fighting for him? And Co Xie is protecting him from blame, but the important thing is that he fired the person. Manager Wang, wiping his cold sweat, said, "Co Xie, this part-time worker has already been fired by me. He's already received his pay and left." Xie Hanmo frowned and looked at Manager Wang, sighing. "All right, if he's fired, he's fired. Handle this matter properly. I'm leaving now." Saying that, she turned and hurried to leave. Manager Wang hastily asked, "CEO Xie, why don't you have a meal before you go? Our restaurant has a new dish today. You can try it." Xie Hanmo quickly returned to the private room. She grabbed her school bag and strode out. "No need, maybe next time." Xie Hanmo sent me a message, but I never replied. She was a little worried about me, but besides my VX account, she didn't have my phone number. Although she knew where I was, it was Su Qingxue's house. It wasn't appropriate for her to go there. Helplessly, Xie Hanmo took a taxi to the vicinity of the East Mountain Villa area. When she got out of the car, it was already past 9 p.m. She stood at the main gate of the villa complex, took out her phone to check. I still hadn't replied, but very quickly she saw a figure appear by the roadside. It was me, back. I was a bit annoyed. Clearly, I didn't want to dwell on the grudges from the past life, yet Su Qingxue kept coming to provoke me. Could it be that I was stopping? A terrifying thought arose in my mind. Could it be that Su Qingxue had also reincarnated? Impossible. If Su Qingxue had reincarnated, she should be looking for Fang Yuan to stop Fang Yuan from going abroad. It made no sense that the bright moonlight was right beside her, yet she still came to provoke me, a substitute. Thinking like this, suddenly in the night breeze, I heard a girl's cold voice calling me. I looked up and saw, not far away under the dim streetlights, Xie Hanmo standing there. Xie Hanmo had a complicated expression. She strode up to me, staring intently at my face. I was surprised and my eyes widened slightly. "Sister Xie Shui? Why are you here?" Xie Hanmo was silent for 2 seconds before saying, "Today is my birthday. There's a party. I wanted to ask if you want to come." I was even more surprised. "Oh, then happy birthday," saying that, I reached out and pulled my school bag, rummaging through it for a while. I couldn't find anything. Finally, I took down the little chick plushie hanging on my bag. My face flushed as I handed it to Xie Hanmo. "Happy birthday. I didn't know before, so I didn't buy you a gift. This chick keychain of mine was taken by Su Qingxue in the previous life. This time, I originally intended to keep it for myself." Xie Hanmo looked at the chick keychain in my hand. A yellow chick keychain with a red band around its neck and a straw hat on its head. The whole thing was soft, with a small bell hanging from its neck. It looked very cute. Xie Hanmo immediately reached out and took the chick keychain. I felt Xie Hanmo's warm fingers brush against mine. My hand trembled, and I pulled my hand back. Xie Hanmo looked at me and noticed my flushed cheeks. She lowered her head slightly and quickly hung the chick keychain on her shoulder bag. She said softly, "This is very good. I really like it." I felt a little that this keychain was a bit difficult to give away, but Sister Z looked like she really liked it. Xie Hanmo asked me, "Shall we go sing? Do you want to come along?" Although it was a question, her eyes were still fixed on me, full of anticipation. My mood was also very bad right now. If Madame Su knew that Su Qingxue had fought in the restaurant because of me, I didn't know if she would secretly give my family Jia something else. I immediately nodded. "Do we need to go right now?" Xie Hanmo nodded. She used an app on her phone to call a taxi. At this moment, she suddenly felt a bit regretful. Back then, she argued with her parents because she wanted to study agriculture. When she left home, she should have taken her Maybach with her. That car was a gift from her grandfather, and she didn't use her parents' money. She could have driven it away. It wasn't ideal to keep taking taxis with Lin Feng like this. Later, she would have to rent a place outside and take Lin Feng around everywhere? No, she should still buy one. She still had some money left now. She was thinking while sending a message to her group chat. "Today is my birthday. Langshan KTV, you must come." There were only 7 people in the group. These friends, some were still in the fields and hadn't returned, some were rushing to finish assignments and papers. In the blink of an eye, upon seeing this message, they were all initially very excited. "Oh my god, Kime, you finally remembered to invite us out to eat. If Miss Xie invites us, we must give her face. I haven't eaten yet. Today we must eat something expensive." "Wait, Kime, if I remember correctly, isn't your birthday in July? Now the date doesn't match. Is it really your birthday? The car has arrived." Xie Hanmo opened the car door for me. Xie Hanmo watched me get into the car, then went to the other side herself. After getting in the car, she replied to a message on her phone. "If I say it is, it is. You'll know when you get here." After saying that, she added another sentence. "I'm bringing friends. Don't let it slip." After sending the message, she turned off her phone. My mood was still not very good. Xie Hanmo turned her head and asked me, "Do you want to drink some bubble tea?" I heard that drinking bubble tea can improve one's mood. I asked back, "Do you want to drink it, Sister Qingxue? Should I buy you some?" When Xie Hanmo brought me to the KTV, several of her friends from the group were already there. There were 3 male friends and 3 female friends. Adding Xie Hanmo and me, there were a total of 8 people. When they saw Xie Hanmo arrive, they were still very excited. "Kime, you're finally here? We've been waiting for you." A slightly plump female student wearing glasses rushed over, trying to hug Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo reacted very quickly. She pulled me to the side, frowning and saying, "Slow down. Be careful not to bump into others. Lin Feng is so thin. If he were actually bumped, it would be bad." The friends in the private room only then noticed me following behind Xie Hanmo. Everyone's eyes widened slightly, a little surprised. A tall, well-built male student said in surprise, "Hanmo, did you bring your boyfriend?" Everyone immediately cheered. "Oh, is it true? No way! Kime actually has a boyfriend now." I felt a bit embarrassed and blushed, turning to look at Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo's eyes held a hint of a smile. She pulled me over and said to everyone, "Don't talk nonsense. His name is Lin Feng, a junior from the opposite Leda University. He's not my boyfriend." Everyone went, "Oh," revealing understanding expressions. They understood, not now, but perhaps in the future. But they had never seen Xie Hanmo be close to any guy. She was always very cold, keeping her distance from everyone. It was the first time her friends had seen someone accompanying her, and moreover, a male student. The friends immediately exchanged glances, winking at each other. Xie Hanmo actually faked her birthday to invite someone out. It seems she's interested in him. Everyone's eyes held a look of gossip. Among them, a female student handed me a bottle of Coca-Cola. She said enthusiastically, "Hello, Junior. Im Yangshinyu. You can call me sister." I was about to speak when I saw Xie Hanmo coldly say, "You, since the semester started, have accepted so many younger brothers. Your younger brothers must fill a truck by now." Yangshinyu retorted, "That's different. This younger brother looks more well-behaved." Xie Hanmo whispered to me, "Don't mind them. Have some fruit." She placed a plate of fruit in front of me and peeled a tangerine for me. Everyone in the private room kept looking at us with strange expressions. I felt very uncomfortable being stared at. They couldn't say it in front of us, but they were chatting lively in the group. "Oh my god, Kime has a good eye. This junior is really handsome. Is Kime pursuing him? Should we lend a hand?" They had been talking a lot in the group, but Xie Hanmo hadn't replied. Until Yang Xinyu said this, Xie Hanmo immediately replied in the group chat. How to push. The friends looked at each other. Yang Xinyu tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and looked at me. Yang Xinyu put down her phone. She turned down the music slightly and said with a grin, Come on, come on, come on. The indispensable game at gatherings, truth or dare. Who wants to play? Someone complained in the group. Can't we have something more novel, playing these things again? Yang Xinyu rolled her eyes. She stared at Xie Hanmo, secretly giving her a dagger-like look. I'm helping you pursue your man? Do I have to teach you how to cooperate? Yang Xinyu called out loudly. Kime, do you want to play? Xie Hanmo was a bit helpless. She turned her head and asked me, Does Lin Feng want to play? Although this truth or dare game was very popular at university gatherings, I had never played it before. Now, hearing everyone talk about it, I was also a little interested. Okay, Yang Xinyu was overjoyed. Then it's settled. Then everyone should participate. I'll go get the cards. Everyone gathered around the coffee table, sitting in a circle on the sofa. I went closer to Xie Hanmo and said, Sister, isn't today your birthday? Didn't you buy a cake? I didn't mention Xie Hanmo, almost forgot that today was her birthday. Xie Hanmo was silent for 2 seconds, then said, I already had cake at noon, so I didn't buy one for the evening. When she said this, Xie Hanmo actually felt a little guilty. But I didn't think much of it. I didn't doubt Xie Hanmo's words at all. But after all, I'm just a normal person. Who could have thought that someone would fake their birthday? At this moment, Yang Xinyu came over with the cards. The 8 of us sat in a circle around the sofa. Coincidentally, Yang Xinyu sat next to me. She excitedly placed the cards on the table. She said loudly, Quickly, 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 draw your cards. The junior that Kime has finally taken notice of. We must do our best to help her pursue him. After everyone drew a card, Yang Xinyu asked loudly, Who is the ace? Whose card is the ace? Let's see. Everyone looked at their cards for a moment. Xie Hanmo took out her card and placed it face up on the table. Hers was a 2. This was my first time playing this game. I turned over my card. To my surprise, it was the black ace. Xie Hanmo frowned and turned to look at Yang Xinyu. Yang Xinyu gave her an innocent look, as if she hadn't lifted a finger. It was all fate. Yang Xinyu brought 2 small boxes and asked me, Well, little sibling, do you choose truth or dare? I hesitated for a moment and shyly said, Truth, please. As soon as I finished speaking, the surrounding people's eyes lit up immediately. Oh, truth? Little sibling, don't regret it, a sister chuckled. From a box labeled Truth, she took out a small piece of paper and handed it to me. Here, little sibling, open it and see the question. I took the paper and slowly unfolded it. Yang Xinyu came closer and loudly read, When was your first love? Everyone stared intently at me. Even Xie Hanmo beside me tilted her head slightly, unable to stop looking at me. I hesitated for a few seconds. If we're talking about this life, I definitely haven't had my first love yet. But if past lives count too, then when I was 18, I started secretly loving Su Qingxue. And at 19, I was already with Su Qingxue. I didn't lose my memory. I remember the events of my past life very clearly. Having gone through such an unpleasant relationship, I couldn't possibly return to that innocent state of the youth of a first love. I chuckled sheepishly and vaguely said, probably during school. I didn't even say which school. This statement was practically saying nothing at all. Everyone looked at me and then looked at Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo's expression became a bit stiff and her eyes grew a little cold. During school? So when was that? Yang Xinyu cleared her throat twice and asked curiously, Little sibling, we only started school a month ago, right? You just started school. Was that around this time? Who was your girlfriend? I rolled up the paper and put it back in the box. I said, a little embarrassed, Sister, it wasn't during this enrollment period. So, a high school romance. At this moment, a girl said, Don't say that. Actually, ever since I started kindergarten, I've had a crush on a boy. Is a secret crush also a first love? Another guy chimed in. So according to you, I had someone I liked when I was 3 years old. Xie Hanmo heard this, and her expression softened. That said, it doesn't seem entirely unreasonable. Yang Xinyu was speechless. Okay. You all have first loves. Everyone has a first love, alright? Alright, let's move on to the next round. It was the second turn. A sister drew a card. She chose dare. Yang Xinyu loudly read from the paper. Choose one person and sit on their lap for 5 minutes. Everyone started cheering. Oh my god, don't pick me. These cold legs can't handle it. Amidst everyone's laughter, the girl happily said, I choose the fragrant sister. Saying that, she chose another girl. The game quickly continued. This time, it was Xie Hanmo's turn to draw a card. She opened the card and chuckled, saying, I choose dare. Yang Xinyu immediately passed the drawing box, secretly winking at her. Yang Xinyu's gaze was too obvious. Xie Hanmo looked a little helpless. Following Yang Xinyu's gaze, she picked a piece of paper. After opening it, Yang Xinyu took it and loudly read, Interlock fingers with the person on your right for 10 minutes. Everyone immediately cheered. Wow, seventh sister, you have quite a few admirers. Xie Hanmo, a burly guy on the left, shouted, "Hey, don't be too much. You'll scare the little sibling away. How about this? Seventh sister, hold my hand. My hands might be a little sweaty, but it's okay. You won't mind, right? Come on." Seventh sister saying that, he reached out his hand to grab Xie Hanmo's hand. Xie Hanmo was very clever and quickly put her hands in her pockets. He still grabbed Xie Hanmo's arm and pulled it out. "Oh, don't be shy." "I'm not shy. Why should you be? Come on, seventh sister." Xie Hanmo retreated helplessly. "Stop joking. I don't owe you anything." Yang Xinyu also came up and blocked the guy and said they had to follow the rules. "Do you understand, little sibling?" Yang Xinyu said with a chuckle. "It's all just a game. You don't mind, do you?" I watched them play, feeling a little envious of their camaraderie. I shook my head slightly, feeling a bit shy, and said, "I don't mind." Then, I even proactively extended my hand. My eyes narrowed as I looked at Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo's ears turned slightly red. She calmly said, "Thank you." Then her right hand and my left hand intertwined. My fingers, one by one, slid into the spaces between hers, gently holding her fair, soft hand. The moment our hands clasped, my face instantly flushed red. This was the first time I had interlocked fingers with a girl. This kind of hand-holding was extremely intimate. It usually only appeared between couples. But I, before, for 15 years, had never held Su Qingxue's hand like this. The game was still ongoing, but my heart was beating a little fast. Almost all my senses were focused on my tightly clasped left hand. My entire body tensed up. My cheeks flushed red. Xie Hanmo sat there with an unchanged expression, but someone familiar with her could tell from her slightly stiff movements and her somewhat slow reactions that her inner state was far from calm. She was too nervous. This feeling was truly strange. I subtly tried to move my hand, intending to withdraw it, but Xie Hanmo held on too tightly, and I couldn't pull away. I and Z, Moxie's fingers remained tightly intertwined for the full 10 minutes. When time was up and we let go, Xie Hanmo's palm was slightly sweaty. This time, it wasn't just me who was tense. Xie Hanmo's heart was pounding even harder. The next few rounds didn't involve me and Xie Hanmo. While Xie Hanmo watched the others play, she took the opportunity to give me a cheese mochi. The doctor asked if I was hungry and if I wanted anything else. I accepted the mochi she offered. The doctor said, "No need, this is enough." I had been there for less than 2 hours today, and I was fired. My mood was truly terrible, so I really couldn't eat much tonight. But now, being with Xie Hanmo and playing games with everyone here and singing, my mood had improved significantly. I never had many friends, so normally, even though I didn't want to go back to the Su family home, I actually didn't know where to go. Now that Xie Hanmo could take me out to play, I was truly grateful to her. As for why Xie Hanmo helped me so much, I wasn't thinking about it for the moment. Since childhood, due to my family's less-than-ideal conditions, I was insecure. And in my previous life, after experiencing a failed love like the one with Su Qingxue, both in life and in love, I was actually quite insecure. I always thought to myself that no one would ever truly like me, let alone someone as beautiful and gentle as Xie Hanmo. She could never possibly like me. Thinking of this, I turned to look at Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo was elegant and beautiful and so kind. Su Qingxue couldn't compare to her at all. As I thought this, my thoughts drifted back to Su Qingxue. My mood immediately soured. Xie Hanmo sharply noticed my dip in mood. She turned to look at me with concern. "What's wrong?" My face flushed red. I shook my head. "It's nothing." I lowered my head, feeling a bit embarrassed. And then, ever since we interlocked fingers, I could no longer look directly into Xie Hanmo's eyes. Now every time I saw Xie Hanmo's hand, I felt a bit shy. After playing Truth or Dare for more than a dozen rounds, seeing that it was getting late, all the people sitting here were agricultural instructors. Human-like oxen and horses nurtured from the soil. Every day before dawn, they had to go down to the fields to dig. And at night, they dragged their mud-covered bodies back. It was already 11 o'clock. The oxen and horses were preparing to leave, lest the dormitories close. The human-like oxen and horses would have nowhere to go. Yang Xinyu asked Xie Hanmo, "Seventh sister, are you going back to the dorm?" Xie Hanmo used to live in the dormitories. Although she had a house in the nearby Dongshan Villa area, she rarely went back to Dongshan. But recently, for some reason, Xie Hanmo had not been staying in the dorms often. Yang Xinyu looked at me, then at Xie Hanmo. Her gossipy eyes were about to spill over. As expected, Xie Hanmo shook her head. "I'm not going back. I'm taking Lin Feng home." Yang Xinyu let out an ah. She chuckled and said, okay, we'll be leaving then." Most of them were in the school dormitories, just in time to get back before the dorms locked. They returned to school. Xie Hanmo walked me out of the mall, and then hailed a taxi. She asked me if I had fun tonight. She looked at my face, wanting to see if I was still sad. I smiled and said, "Thank you. I had a great time tonight." Xie Hanmo smiled. "That's good then. I was worried you wouldn't like noisy places like this. After all, I look like a good, quiet boy." She was worried I wouldn't be comfortable if she took me to a KTV. At this moment, in their group chat, everyone was teasing Xie Hanmo. "Seventh sister is truly amazing. She's the youngest, but she's the first to get a boyfriend." Brothers and sisters, does anyone know someone? Please introduce me to a younger brother, okay? My peanuts in the field have no one to help harvest. Find a junior to help harvest peanuts and cultivate feelings. Xie Hanmo. We don't have class on Wednesday afternoons. Ask the junior if she wants to go to an escape room. Let's play the horror version, she said slyly. The one who suggested the escape room was Yang Xinyu. Among them, only Yang Xinyu was the most scheming. Although she had never been in love, she had memorized 108 strategies on how to pursue a boy. She had completely memorized 108 strategies. Xie Hanmo put me in the car. Seeing this message, she replied to Yang Xinyu. An escape room is fine, but why the horror version? Lin Feng will be scared. Yang Xinyu was so angry she wanted to hit Seven's sister. Are you an idiot? Without me, how will you ever find a husband in this lifetime? Let me tell you, when taking the guy you like to an escape room, the scarier, the better. If he's not scared, how can he cling to you? Just you wait. On Wednesday, take the junior out and I'll make arrangements for you. Although Xie Hanmo felt that Yang Xinyu was a bit exaggerated and unreliable, the KTV outing had been quite effective. At least she and I had held hands. Since then, whenever I see her now, I avoid her gaze. I seem to have suddenly become shy. This was a good sign. When Xie Hanmo liked someone, she only thought about making a move quickly. She didn't want to drag things out. Otherwise, what if the guy she liked was pursued by someone else? And Su Qingxue's attitude towards me was unclear. Xie Hanmo actually had a great sense of urgency. Thinking of this, Xie Hanmo turned her head and asked me, sitting beside her, Lin Feng? Do you have class on Wednesday afternoon? I froze for a moment. Then I said, I don't think I have class. Let me check my schedule. Saying that, I opened my schedule on my phone to check. Then I showed my schedule to Xie Hanmo. I don't have class on Wednesday afternoon. Xie Hanmo. Eyes scanned my schedule. She has a photographic memory. A quick glance was enough for her to memorize my entire schedule. She asked softly, Senior, you said Wednesday. You guys wanted to go to an escape room. Have you ever played before? Xie Hanmo was standing a bit close. Her voice was low. It was as if she was whispering in my ear. My face suddenly flushed red. Escape rooms are a very popular, very hot game. Students love playing them, but I've never played before. Naturally, I have an introverted personality, but after tonight, I feel that going out with Xie Hanmo and everyone else is quite good. I won't be so shy anymore. Because the upperclassmen play very enthusiastically, I won't feel out of place. I lowered my head, blushing, and said softly, I have never played before. Have you played before, senior? Is it fun? Xie Hanmo looked at my expression, her lips curving up. She whispered, I haven't played either. Then it's perfect, let's go try it together on Wednesday. When we both returned to the Dongshan Villa complex, it was already 11:30 at night. Normally, I rarely come home this late. Especially in my previous life, I came home around 6-7 every single day. But recently, I've been coming home this late. Su Qingxue stood at the entrance of the villa complex, arms crossed, her gaze somber, looking towards the roadside not far away. Xie Hanmo dropped me off. We walked side by side towards the entrance of the villa complex. Su Qingxue coldly turned and walked away quickly. Xie Hanmo led me to the villa entrance. I asked her, Senior, do you also live nearby? Xie Hanmo also had a villa here. It was a gift from her grandfather when she decided to attend University A. She wanted to study agriculture. Her parents at home disagreed, so they cut off her living expenses. They declared they wouldn't manage her for her 4 years of university, but her grandfather was very supportive of her. After all, her grandfather had lived in the countryside when he was young. He also liked to grow vegetables and such normally. The old man doted on his precious granddaughter, so he bought Xie Hanmo a villa nearby. Hanmo's villa here is very large. The front and back gardens, combined, are over 200 square meters. It's just enough for Xie Hanmo to grow something. Xie Hanmo pointed in a direction. She said to me, Your place is over there. It's not far from here. I followed her finger. I didn't expect the Dongshan Villa complex. Looking at the row of bright lights from hundreds of houses over there, I guessed that Xie Hanmo lived in some residential area in that vicinity. I reached the entrance and greeted Xie Hanmo. Thank you for bringing me home, senior. I'll head in now. Xie Hanmo stopped. She nodded. She waved. See you tomorrow. My eyes swept over her hands with their distinct knuckles, pale, slender, and long. Then I couldn't help but think of the scene tonight, holding Xie Hanmo's hand tightly. My face flushed a little. I turned and went inside. When Su Qingxue returned home, her mother had already finished work and returned. She was sitting in the living room waiting for her. Because her mother had given Fang Yuan birth control pills, which Su Qingxue had discovered, Madame Su hadn't sought out Su Qingxue for the past 2 days. In reality, she was worried Su Qingxue might resent her. Seeing Su Qingxue walk in, she placed her phone on the table and called out, Qingxue, come here for a moment. Su Qingxue, with a cold expression, ignored her. She went straight upstairs. Madame Su frowned. Suppressing her dissatisfaction, she called again, Su Qingxue, I told you to come here. Su Qingxue steps upstairs, halted. Her expression turned cold and annoyed. She turned her head back, quickly walked over and sat on the sofa, crossing her legs and looking at Madame Su. What do you want with me, mother? Madame Su sat there with a sarcastic smile on her face. What else could it be? Of course, it's about your marriage to Fang Yuan. Su Qingxue was taken aback. Then she frowned. You don't need to manage my relationship with Fang Yuan. What marriage? She had never even considered marriage. Madame Su said sarcastically, I saw how you loved Fang Yuan to death before. I thought you wouldn't marry anyone else if not him. So why now? As soon as I mention your marriage, are you so vehemently opposed? Su Qingxue, what exactly are you trying to say? Su Qingxue furrowed her brows tightly and said with great annoyance, Can you please not interfere in my affairs? It was you who didn't agree to us being together before, and now it's you who wants us to get married. What exactly do you want me to do? Madame Su opened a news article on her phone and placed it in front of Su Qingxue. See for yourself. Su Qingxue picked up the phone irritably and looked. Then she frowned. Who leaked this? The news was full of photos of her dating Fang Yuan, their first time at a hotel, and even photos of her bringing Fang Yuan to the old Su family home. The Su family in Haicheng is quite famous. As the heiress of the Su family, the wealthiest family in Haicheng, Su Qingxue had received much attention since childhood. Even her decision to forego studying abroad and attend University A was reported by the media for days. Fang Yuan's father was originally a politician, but recently he has been under investigation. During this sensitive period of investigation, Su Qingxue dating his son and even bringing him home to meet her parents. This couldn't help but make people think. In an instant, news flooded everywhere. Netizens had already started saying that the Su and Fang families were colluding in business. Madame Su said with a cold laugh, This is great now. The whole world knows you're dating Fang Yuan, just as you wished. Are you satisfied? Su Qingxue frowned tightly. She put down the phone and said coldly, Why don't you have someone take it down? This will affect the Su family, won't it? Does your father know about this? Thinking of this, Su Qingxue became extremely annoyed. Su Qingxue said coldly, How did it get like this? Who on earth leaked all this? Madame Su snorted coldly. Who else could it be? It must be the Fang family. Originally, Fang Yuan could only flee abroad, but now that he can rely on the Su family, he definitely won't leave. Madame Su took back her phone and contacted her assistant to handle this matter. Then she looked at Su Qingxue and said, This matter, I've already handled it for you, but regarding your relationship with Fang Yuan, you better think it over carefully. Su Qingxue was extremely annoyed. So, who leaked this information? According to Madame Su's words, it might be related to the Fang family. But Su Qingxue didn't want to believe that Fang Yuan would scheme against her like this. Su Qingxue grabbed her keys and left the house that very night, driving to find Fang Yuan. Just as she was leaving, I was just returning. Her car lights flashed, and I shielded my eyes. Then I looked towards the driver's seat. Coincidentally, I met Su Qingxue's cold gaze. I frowned, said nothing, and moved to the side of the road. Su Qingxue really wanted to ask what exactly my relationship with Xie Hanmo was, and why she had been seeing me and Xie Hanmo together so often lately. Moreover, this had never happened in her previous life, but on second thought, she didn't have the right to ask these questions. More importantly, she had just gotten me fired from my job at the restaurant. Even though she didn't show it, she was still worried I would be angry with her. Su Qingxue hesitated for a moment and then drove away. When I returned to the small house, my father was playing chess with other drivers at the door and stood up. Lin Feng, you're back? I opened my room door and seeing my father, I was a little surprised. Dad, it's so late. Aren't you asleep yet, Dad? My father nodded and said to me, Let's talk inside, son. My father rarely talked with me. When I was young, we talked often, but as I grew older, it became less and less. Looking at my father's expression now, I couldn't help but worry a little. Dad, did something happen? My father entered the room and sat down on a chair. He watched me pack my school bag and said, Lin Feng, I want to tell you something. He hesitated for a moment before saying, I've decided to resign. I'm not going to be a driver for the Su family anymore. My actions of packing my bag froze. I looked at my father in surprise. You don't want to work anymore? Dad, you used to say working at the Su family was great. The housekeeper and other drivers were all very friendly. There was free food and lodging. There was insurance and a 5-fund system. More importantly, it was easy work with good pay. He felt he could work here forever. Why is he suddenly saying he wants to resign now? My father looked at me and said softly, Has Madame Su been making things difficult for you lately? His expression became a bit more serious. And Miss Su, did she say anything to you? Father Lin didn't want his son to suffer any disadvantage. Even if his son had to stay in a dorm, he had to resign. He didn't want his son, while studying, to be ridiculed by others, saying he was the son of this driver or that driver. He couldn't bear to see his son suffer any disadvantage. I was silent for a long time before asking, What about Fendi? Have you spoken with her? My father nodded and sighed. She doesn't want to resign. So ill. Just resign and go back to my hometown first. She can continue working here. But Liu Lifan is not my biological mother. Her influence on me isn't that great. My father and I sat facing each other talking. My father comforted me. You don't need to worry about me. After I resign, I'll go back to my hometown first. Haven't you always wanted to move your paternal grandparents' graves to the same place? I never had free time before. This time, I'll take care of that. My father changed the subject, and the house in my hometown should also be renovated. Didn't you say the roof was leaking before? Can't even stay there during Chinese New Year? Actually, I've always wanted to return to my hometown, but over the years, to take care of me, to support my education, I even had to work during Chinese New Year. I didn't have any free time. My eyes reddened. I felt a pang of discomfort in my heart. I said softly, "Dad, I'm sorry." Fortunately, I was reborn. This time, I know how to avoid risks. I won't be like in my previous life, foolishly thinking Su Qingxue liked me, foolishly thinking Madame Su would accept me, and foolishly sacrificing myself and even implicating my father. My father, over the years, had actually saved quite a lot of money. His savings could buy a small house outright, on the outskirts of the city. However, for me, a small 2-bedroom, 2-living-room apartment is enough. As for him, he has already planned everything out. He'll go back to the small town and open a grocery store or something. Or go back to the countryside and farm. He'll retire in a few years anyway. Everything is centered around me. As for Liu Lifan, if she wants to continue working here, let her. My father can visit her periodically anyway. The day she no longer wants to work, he'll bring her back. Anyway, he will not agree to Liu Lifan interfering in my affairs. Liu Lifan is sometimes truly unreasonable. After my father left, I couldn't sleep all night. In my previous life, Su Qingxue and I had a 5-year relationship. Although the outcome was not as desired, during the relationship, Su Qingxue, at least on the surface, didn't treat me too badly. The only painful part was that Madame Su had given me medicine, which affected my health and made me disliked by the Su family. In this life, I am loved. Everything is developing in a different direction, but I'm getting worried, because the future is uncertain and I don't know if the accident will still happen. I sat up from bed. Outside the window, the croaking of frogs echoed. I turned on the bedside lamp, drew the curtains, and opened the window. Immediately, the night breeze, carrying the scent of damp earth and a faint floral fragrance, rushed into my room. I lay down on the edge of the bed, looking at the trees in the small garden outside the window. At this moment, in the dim light, I saw someone sitting in the pavilion. The person was wearing white clothes, sitting on a stone bench in the pavilion, with a pair of long, straight legs, looking towards me. The moment I saw Su Qingxue, I froze. It was as if I was scared. I quickly averted my gaze and stood up to close the window. At the same time, I thought to myself, it's already 2 a.m. Why is Su Qingxue still standing outside the window? So gloomy and unsettling, it's scary. And besides, didn't she drive out earlier this evening? Why did she come back so quickly? Wasn't she going to find Fang Yuan? Su Qingxue saw me closing the window. Su Qingxue suddenly stood up and walked quickly towards me. Her voice was slightly hoarse, and she softly called out, "Lin Feng, wait for me." I didn't wait for her and continued to close the window. Su Qingxue had no choice but to quickly approach, holding onto my window pane with one hand. She leaned into the window, looking directly at me inside. Su Qingxue stared at me, still faintly smelling of alcohol. She said softly, "Lin Feng, will you be my boyfriend?" My expression turned cold. Looking coldly at Su Qingxue, "No." Su Qingxue looked at me in surprise, seemingly not expecting me to refuse. Clearly, she asked the same thing in the past life, and I agreed back then. Su Qingxue was a bit annoyed. "Why are you refusing me? Is it because of Xie Hanmo?" Su Qingxue really couldn't think of any other reason. I was a little impatient. "This has nothing to do with Sister Xie Shui." I looked at Su Qingxue, a cold smile on my face. "Su Qingxue, I simply don't like you." After a pause, I added, "You are really troublesome." It was the first time Su Qingxue had heard such words. All along, Su Qingxue had always been adored by everyone, and no one had ever spoken to her like that. Usually, with just a flick of her finger, people would scramble and push, eager to get close to her. Yet, I called her troublesome. Su Qingxue's expression turned grim. She just stood there silently, as if she didn't understand my words at all, staring at me in silence. After a long while, Su Qingxue seemed to regain her senses, realizing her emotions were getting a bit out of control. Her original intention was to talk to me nicely. Her eyes looked straight at me, and she slowly asked, "So you still blame me for never seriously pursuing you, right? Right?" Her voice was low and slow, carrying an elusive emotion. I looked at her with an emotionless expression. I felt a sense of irony. In my past life, I liked her so much, but I was never in her eyes. And now, when I don't want to pay attention to her, she comes to ask why. It's ridiculous. I shook my head. "No. Whether you pursue me or not, we have no future." Su Qingxue heard my words but didn't believe them. "She and I have always been very compatible. I like him. But is it because of Fang Yuan that you're angry with him?" Su Qingxue reached out her hand, and in the darkness, her hand lightly brushed my face through the air. Her face held an indescribable emotion. Then she spoke again, her voice a little deeper. "Anyway, I want to try pursuing you." I frowned, looking at her with disgust. I said coldly, "Are you deaf? I just clearly rejected you. We are not close. Don't come looking for me anymore." After saying that, I turned around to close the window. As soon as I reached out to pull the window, Su Qingxue suddenly let go of the window frame she had been holding tightly. With a click, the window finally closed, making a clear sound. Immediately after, with a swift swoosh, I also drew the curtains, completely cutting off the view of Su Qingxue. Su Qingxue stood in the darkness for a long time, staring at my window for a long time. She had just returned. When she arrived at Fang Yuan's house, seeing Fang Yuan's pale face and hearing Fang Yuan's mother say that they were no longer planning to go abroad, she hoped Su Qingxue would marry Fang Yuan, hoping the Su family could help the Fang family overcome their difficulties. As Su Qingxue left the Fang residence, she even felt suffocated at times. Everything had changed. She muttered, "Lin Feng has changed. He no longer cares about me, he no longer looks at me, and he no longer likes me." What about Fang Yuan? The shining moonlight that once resided in her heart, the one she longed for day and night for 5 years, turned out to be full of calculations towards her. She didn't even dare to think, if she weren't the heiress of the Su family, whether Fang Yuan would still like her. The next morning, as I stepped out of the villa, I saw Su Qingxue driving a blue sports car stopped by the roadside. Wearing sunglasses, she watched me come out of the house. Finally, I got into the car. Holding a bag of milk, I walked straight past her. "No need, Miss Su. I'll take the bus." Su Qingxue frowned and drove slowly alongside me. She said irritably, "Lin Feng, didn't you agree last night to let me pursue you?" I frowned. I never said that at the time, and when Su Qingxue said she wanted to pursue me, I had already clearly refused. But clearly, Su Qingxue wasn't listening to me. I walked up to Su Qingxue's car. Su Qingxue thought I had agreed to get in the car. Her expression softened and a smile bloomed on her lips. "I knew you'd get in the car. I couldn't bear to let him actually pursue me." I walked in front of her and said to her seriously, "Miss Su, I never said that. Furthermore, I don't want to go to school in your car. Your car and you are too conspicuous. I don't want to be in the news again." With that, I turned and walked away, turning down a small path beside, preparing to take the bus. Su Qingxue's face darkened. She irritably slammed the steering wheel. Just then, Su Qingxue's phone rang. She saw the incoming call was from Fang Yuan. She softened her expression and answered the phone. "Hello, Fang Yuan." Hearing Fang Yuan's weak voice from the other end, "Hello, Qingxue, can you come to the hospital to be with me?" When Su Qingxue arrived at the hospital, she found Fang Yuan's condition to be quite poor. Seeing Fang Yuan like this, Su Qingxue felt even more resentment towards Mrs. Su. She couldn't understand why Mrs. Su could be so heartless and treat Fang Yuan this way. Fang Yuan was in this situation because of her. He had to be hospitalized due to birth control pills. If Fang Yuan's illness could be cured, it would be one thing, but if it couldn't be cured, would she have to spend her entire life by Fang Yuan's side, out of guilt? That's how humans are. When a person becomes a burden, love also disappears. Fang Yuan was receiving an IV drip. His face was pale, and he didn't look well. Upon seeing Su Qingxue enter, Fang Yuan's expression worsened. He stared at Su Qingxue and asked, "Qingxue, why did you suddenly leave yesterday? Is it because my mother told us to get married so you didn't want to?" Su Qingxue sat beside Fang Yuan's hospital bed and gently stroked Fang Yuan's head, saying softly, "I had something to do yesterday. It wasn't because of this. Don't overthink it." Fang Yuan sneered. "Su Qingxue, how long are you going to keep this from me?" Fang Yuan's expression was somewhat displeased. He looked at Su Qingxue with resentment. "After I finished the bird's nest porridge at your house, I suddenly had a stomach ache and had to be hospitalized. My illness hasn't been cured yet." Do you know what the doctor said? Su Qingxue, after learning the truth that day, had asked the doctor to conceal the situation. After all, that hospital was a private hospital owned by the Su family, which they ran. The doctor surely wouldn't dare to casually leak information, right? Su Qingxue looked at Fang Yuan with a complicated expression. What did the doctor say? She observed Fang Yuan's complexion, while thinking to herself, which doctor was so disobedient? Fang Yuan looked at Su Qingxue with disappointment. He originally thought that he and Su Qingxue were childhood sweethearts, and that Su Qingxue, since middle school, had expressed her affection for him. She must have been sincere with him. But what was the result? Fang Yuan, with red eyes, looked at Su Qingxue. "I know, the doctor at your family's hospital wouldn't tell me the truth. So my mother took me to a public hospital outside for a checkup. The doctor said it was due to an overdose of birth control pills." As Fang Yuan said this, he started to cry, his voice hoarse, saying, "That type of medicine originally has many side effects, and I happen to be quite sensitive to this medication. Even with the normal dosage, taking it would already affect my body, let alone the doctor saying I took an overdose." Su Qingxue, your mother is a murderer, and you are an accomplice. Su Qingxue's expression was initially a bit panicked, but very quickly she calmed down. Although her relationship with Mrs. Su wasn't harmonious, she understood that they were mother and daughter. If her mother was a murderer, then as the daughter of a murderer, how could her reputation remain intact? Mrs. Su was also the wife of the head of the Su family. If others found out she had done this, the Su family stock prices would likely plummet. Thinking of this, she looked at Fang Yuan, who was crying hysterically, and immediately stood up and hugged Fang Yuan. She stroked Fang Yuan's head and said softly, all right, you're sick. Don't get worked up. If you damage your health, you'll really be heartbroken." Fang Yuan leaned into Su Qingxue's embrace, sobbing and saying, "What will I do in the future? I haven't even had a girlfriend and my body is already ruined. In the future. Don't say such things. It's okay," Su Qingxue comforted him. "You're just sick. The doctor said it can be cured, don't overthink it. As she spoke, Su Qingxue leaned in slightly, looking at Fang Yuan with affectionate eyes. The doctor said, whether you can be cured or not, I won't look down on you. If you're still worried, then let's get engaged this month, okay? Fang Yuan looked up at her intently, surprise and joy in his eyes. Really? Qingxue, do you want to marry me? This time, when I took the bus, I didn't see Xie Hanmo. I was a bit surprised. Apparently, recently, I've seen her on the bus almost every day. I picked up my phone and checked the time. It was indeed this bus. Could it be that Xie Hanmo doesn't have class today? I took the bus to school alone. On the way, I held my phone, wondering if I should text Xie Hanmo. But after thinking it over, it didn't seem quite appropriate. Between us, we weren't yet close enough to inquire about each other's lives. However, not just that day, but for the next 3 consecutive days, I didn't see Xie Hanmo again. And right at this moment, I received a notification from the logistics department. My registered dormitory has been approved. I immediately became excited. As soon as class ended, I went with Yang Jian to the dormitory area to see the room. Yang Jian told me, we're on the 5th floor. I am in 609, you're in 612. I've already asked around for you. The other 3 people in room 609 are all students from the history department next door. I've met them. Usually, everyone is quite easy to talk to. I nodded. That's good then. We arrived at the dormitory and found that the previous students had cleaned the beds very well. So we decided to buy daily necessities first and I'll move in directly tomorrow. Anyway, my father has already resigned. This time, I can finally completely escape the dormitory. A male student wearing glasses in the dormitory asked, "You two, who wants to move in?" I immediately said, "It's me. I am Lin Feng, first-year student, Department of Literature." That male student looked at me. "I am Zhu Yi, Department of History. You look familiar." I thought to myself, what else could be the reason for familiarity? It must be because I helped Madame Su take photos of Su Qingxue when she went to class, which caused a stir in the school's gossip group. So everyone knows me. My heart is strong enough. I've been through all these things in my past life. Now that I am encountering these things again, I can calmly face them without any disturbance. Yang Jian chuckled and said, "Zhu Ye, I think you look familiar too. I know you performed at the freshman welcoming party, right? You performed there, didn't you?" As he spoke, Yang Jian walked over and enthusiastically chatted with Zhu Ye. After they finished chatting, they friended each other on WeChat, calling each other brother constantly. I was really helpless with Yang Jian. After the 2 of us left, I said I wanted to go to the campus supermarket to buy daily necessities, tidy up the dormitory a bit, and then, after school in the afternoon, I planned to go home and move into the dormitory tonight. Yang Jian seemed a bit confused. "Lin Feng, why are you in such a hurry to move?" I nodded. "Of course, I've been waiting for a long time. Moreover, in the last 2 days, I found a part-time job at a fishing ground. Every afternoon and evening, when the fishing ground is busy, I'll work part-time at the reception. I'll register members, sell fishing gear and other items. The job is very simple. It sounds quite easy, but the distance to school is a bit far, even farther from the Su family's house. After I move into the dormitory, I won't have to commute between the Su family's house and my part-time job, and it will be more convenient. In the afternoon, I'll go straight home to pack. After talking with my father, I'll leave the Su family's house with my suitcase." Madame Su, who had just returned from work, saw this and asked the butler, "Why is Lin Feng moving out?" The butler sighed and said, "Driver Lin wants to resign, so Lin Feng is moving into the dormitory at school." Madame Su heard this and said indifferently, "Then just hire another driver. We pay a high salary, so why worry about not finding a good one?" The butler sighed inwardly and nodded. Madame Su handed the handbag and coat in her hands to the butler and said, "It's good that Lin Feng is moving out. Before, I saw him riding with Qingxue every day to and from school, and I was worried he might have inappropriate thoughts about Qingxue. Fortunately, last time I asked him to take pictures of Qingxue at school, which angered Qingxue. Otherwise, Qingxue might have been truly heartbroken." The old butler smiled awkwardly and nodded. "Yes, Madame is still thoughtful. It can only be said that she is indeed the Madame of the Su family. Her thoughts can reach so far." On the day I moved into the dormitory, it was already 11 o'clock when I finally messaged Xie Hanmo. "Senior, I have moved into the dormitory. From now on, I won't have to rush to catch the bus early in the morning anymore." At this moment, Xie Hanmo was just leaving the school gate with her classmates and suddenly stopped. She frowned, her expression becoming a little somber. Yang Xinyu, who was with her, saw her expression and finally couldn't help but ask, "That Moi, why have you been checking your phone occasionally for the past 3 days? Whose message are you waiting for?" For 3 consecutive days, Xie Hanmo, who rarely used her phone, would pick up her phone and check it a few times, as if she was expecting a message from someone. Yang Xinyu had told her it's better to take the initiative than to wait. But Xie Hanmo said, "I am attacking. You don't understand." One sentence shut Yang Xinyu up. Yang Xinyu was speechless and taunted her. "What is this feint to the east, strike to the west? What grand affair are you planning? You're even using Sun Tzu's art of war." Xie Hanmo said nothing. Until today, Xie Hanmo finally received my message. A stone in her heart finally fell. After not taking the bus for 3 consecutive days, I finally messaged her. Good, this is a very good start. This means I am concerned about her. Xie Hanmo paused. Her expression turned cold. Why did he move into the dormitory? Not that. How will her next plan be carried out? The art of war has harmed him. I moved into the dormitory again. Xie Hanmo really didn't expect it. Of course, she suddenly thought, actually, my moving into the dormitory is a good thing. After all, Su Qingxue's attitude towards me is very strange. As a woman, Xie Hanmo could keenly perceive that Su Qingxue had many peculiar aspects towards me. Xie Hanmo really couldn't help but overthink. However, even if Su Qingxue and Lin Feng were in love before, so what? Looking at Lin Feng's attitude towards Su Qingxue, the two of them must no longer have any relationship. Xie Hanmo looked at her phone, considering that she had to seize the opportunity quickly. She messaged me, "Are you in the dormitory now? Do you need help moving?" I replied very quickly, "I've already finished moving. I don't have many belongings. We've finished moving." Reading this, Xie Hanmo felt a bit regretful. I still remembered that I had to treat Xie Hanmo to a meal. Sitting on the dormitory bed, I messaged Xie Hanmo, "Senior, when are you free? Let me treat you to a meal." I had promised to treat her to a meal a long time ago, or bubble tea or something, but I never found an opportunity. Xie Hanmo raised an eyebrow. She recalled my class schedule and replied, "I am free tomorrow afternoon. I don't have any classes tomorrow afternoon. It's just right. She can take me to a restaurant near the school for barbecue lamb skewers. Classmates who have eaten there say it's delicious. She will probably like it too." However, to my surprise, I didn't agree. "Sorry, senior. I have to work part-time tomorrow afternoon. How about we go the day after tomorrow? Did you find another part-time job? What kind of job is it? Where is it located? Is it reliable?" So I sent the location of the fishing ground to Xie Hanmo. "It's a fishing ground. I'm working part-time at the reception and sales there. It should be reliable. I found this in the school's part-time job group. A senior student worked there before." Shortly after, I honestly sent the part-time job information I found in the group to Xie Hanmo. After Xie Hanmo received the message, she quickly opened the map and entered the name of the fishing ground to locate it. After confirming the location, she searched online for detailed information about the fishing ground. She carefully checked various introductions and reviews related to it. Just then, Yang Xinyu bought 2 sausages from a nearby convenience store. As soon as he got back, he ate one first, then gave the other one to Xie Hanmo, saying, "That moi, aren't you leaving yet? It's getting dark." Xie Hanmo took the sausage and took a bite. Suddenly remembering something, she turned to ask Yang Xinyu, "Oh right, aren't you very familiar with this area? Do you know anywhere nearby that sells fishing gear?" Yang Xinyu was happily eating the sausage, hearing Xie Hanmo's question. Before he could even swallow the food in his mouth, he repeated with a muffled voice, "Fishing gear." As he spoke, his gaze involuntarily glanced down towards Xie Hanmo's body. Xie Hanmo looked at him with a dark expression. Yang Xinyu was startled and flustered. He quickly said, "What fishing gear are you talking about? Are you that lonely?" Xie Hanmo was exasperated. "Fishing gear. I want to buy a complete set. I want to go fishing at the fishing ground this weekend." Yang Xinyu was a bit surprised. "No way, you're not majoring in animal husbandry next door. Why would you go fishing?" Xie Hanmo looked at Yang Xinyu meaningfully and said softly, "You wouldn't understand. After school, I packed my things and then got a shared bike and cycled to the fishing ground for my part-time job. The fishing ground is very large and the work at the reception is quite busy. Most of the members are elderly gentlemen. Since many of them are retired, regardless of weekdays or weekends, the daily customer traffic is quite high. They are willing to spend money on membership cards and buy bait and gear without hesitation. It's just that many people speak in the local dialect, and since I'm not from here, I often don't understand. There are a total of 2 people at the reception. One of them is a girl. She's the granddaughter of the fishing ground owner. She is currently a graduate student and comes to help when she's free. When I first arrived, I didn't know how to operate the system. Qin Mengyao patiently taught me. This cashier system is quite easy to use. Just watch me operate it once first. Most members here pay an annual fee. You need to register membership cards for them. They can borrow fishing gear for free. The fish they catch can also be taken home for free. You don't need to worry about this." I stood beside her listening attentively, because in this fishing ground, the owner also runs a tourist farm simultaneously. So many people come here because of its reputation. Eating fish requires booking private rooms in the restaurant, etc. These are also part of our duties. Although the work is complex, it's generally not rushed or chaotic. My learning ability is very good, and I learn very quickly. After Qin Mengyao patiently finished teaching me, she casually picked up a cup of water placed nearby, preparing to get some water. She smiled and said to me, "You can look at the materials here for a while. I'm going to get a cup of water." I obediently nodded and replied, "Yes, senior." Qin Mengyao is a graduate student at University A, currently pursuing her master's degree, so when I first met her, I politely called her senior. Just as Qin Mengyao turned to get water, a familiar female voice suddenly rang out. "Who is he? Are you close with him?" Upon hearing this, I quickly looked up. I saw Xie Hanmo wearing a waterproof jacket, a bucket hat, and holding a brand new fishing rod, standing at the reception. And young Xinyu, dressed similarly to Xie Hanmo, was also standing behind Xie Hanmo, looking around curiously. My eyes suddenly lit up, and a look of surprised joy appeared on my face. I quickly stood up and enthusiastically greeted, "Senior Xie, are you here fishing too?" Xie Hanmo smiled and nodded, explaining, "Yang Xinyu has a research project related to aquaculture and fisheries, so I came with him to find some research materials." Yang Xinyu was unwillingly dragged along, his eyes wide, and he looked at Xie Hanmo. Xie Hanmo turned to look at him without changing her expression. "When will your project end? Are you getting a monthly, yearly, or memo card?" Yang Xinyu thought to himself, "Why is she asking me this? How would he know when it ends?" Yang Xinyu scratched his head. In front of me, it wasn't convenient for him to say much, so he asked Xie Hanmo instead, "When do you think my topic will end? Is reasonable?" Xie Hanmo said with a serious expression. "I've thought it through. It's still more beneficial to get the annual pass. After all, the teacher will arrange a topic selection on aquaculture, and there will definitely be a second and third time later. This annual pass is only 1,000 yuan, and it has unlimited uses. It's really affordable, what do you think?" Yang Xinyu seemed a bit indifferent. He casually nodded and chimed in, "Okay, I think you're right. Let's get the annual pass then." Anyway, he wasn't the one paying, so of course he wouldn't feel bad about it. I stood by the side watching the two of them and couldn't help but find it amusing. I thought to myself, the conversation between these two sounds so strange. Just then, Xie Hanmo suddenly turned her head and said to me with a smile, "Lin Feng, could you please help me get 2 annual passes?" "Yes, senior. Please wait a moment, both of you. Please fill in the information first." As I spoke, I pushed a form over for them to fill out. I was not very familiar with the process of getting a membership card, so my movements were a bit slow. Yang Xinyu, standing to the side, saw this and didn't show any impatience at all. Instead, he cheerfully chatted with me. He asked about my part-time job at this fishing ground, including my salary, whether meals were provided, and so on. He asked so many questions, it was as if he also wanted to work here. I have a gentle personality, so to Yang Xinyu's questions, I answered them one by one. Just then, Qin Mengyao, who was getting water, saw a customer arrive and felt a little worried if I could handle the membership card application smoothly. So she quickly put down the glass of water in her hand and quickly walked back to the reception desk. Qin Mengyao came to my side, standing parallel to me. Our shoulders were almost touching. Qin Mengyao lowered her head slightly and softly asked, "Are you getting an annual membership?" I nodded slightly and looked up with a bit of shyness, smiling at Qin Mengyao. "Senior, I'm not very familiar with operating this membership system." Qin Mengyao and I looked at each other. She was stunned for a second, quickly came to her senses and said, "It's okay, let me help you. You can just stand by and watch." As she spoke, she naturally took the mouse from my hand, and her slender fingers also unintentionally brushed against my hand. Neither of us paid attention to this small detail. It was Xie Hanmo standing outside the counter, who clearly saw everything. Her expression immediately darkened. Her mood, which had been quite good, became unpleasant at this moment. Yang Xinyu leaned closer to her and whispered, "Seventh sister, you have quite a few competitors." Xie Hanmo's face was heavy, and she sighed helplessly. "There's no other way. A guy who can make me fall in love at first sight, others will surely like him too. After all, I am handsome, have a good personality, and am very kind. It would be abnormal if no one liked me." Qin Mengyao quickly finished operating the system and handed over the 2 membership cards. "Your membership cards are ready. This is the annual pass. Within its validity period, there is no limit to the number of uses. You can come at any time. No reservation is needed. You can borrow fishing gear for free. If you want to reserve a private spot, you need to make a reservation in advance." After Xie Hanmo and Yang Xinyu received their membership cards, they thanked me and Qin Mengyao, then turned and left, and began to look for a suitable fishing spot. Qin Mengyao stood in place, watching them as they walked away, until the figures of the 2 of them completely disappeared from sight. She then turned her head back. She lowered her voice and asked me, "Are they your classmates?" I smiled and nodded. I replied, "They are seniors from the adjacent Bida University." Upon hearing this, Qin Mengyao couldn't help but frown, showing surprise. Do university students also like fishing? She had been working at this fish farm for several years, and regarding the members here, she could say she knew them like the back of her hand. Members around the age of Xie Hanmo and Yang Xinyu, in her impression, were truly rare and hard to find, although not non-existent. They were indeed very few. I seemed to see Qin Mengyao's suspicion and quickly explained, "They are students from the agricultural university. That senior sister in the blue outfit is working on a topic about aquaculture at the fish farm, so she came here specifically to find materials for her research." Upon hearing these words, Qin Mengyao looked even more surprised. "Is that really true? But I clearly remember that the agricultural university near Bida seems to have several cultivation farms." After hearing Qin Mengyao's words, I couldn't help but widen my eyes in surprise, showing an incredulous expression. I asked suspiciously, "Oh, is that so?" Clearly, I didn't understand the situation at the agricultural university very well. However, Qin Menggao was quite familiar with these matters. Seeing my curious expression, she patiently told me about some relevant situations at the agricultural university. Qin Menggao told me that the agricultural university had very large fields, which were important places for students to practice and learn. Furthermore, it wasn't just fields. The agricultural university also had livestock farms, fish farms, and orchards, etc. It could be said that this place covered all aspects of agriculture. Next, Qin Menggao changed the subject, mentioning their visit to this small fish farm to get membership cards. She found this extremely puzzling because if their purpose was to conduct research on aquaculture, then this small fish farm did not seem to be a suitable choice. After all, the scale here was relatively small and the resources were limited compared to the large fish farm owned by the agricultural university. It was indeed far inferior. Qin Menggao couldn't help but doubt. Do the fish they catch here really help them with their research? You see, they might not catch any fish all day. In her words, there was doubt and concern about these people's choice. It wasn't until Friday that Su Qingxue discovered I had moved. Before that, her attention was completely consumed by Fang Yuan's emotions. Because Fang Yuan was a bit down, Su Qingxue was worried that he might do something impulsive, so she specially took a few days off and took Fang Yuan back to her large apartment in the city center to spend these 5 days with him. During this period, she tried to soothe Fang Yuan's emotions so that he could rest and recover fully. However, by Friday, Fang Yuan's health had not fully improved. Although he insisted on going back to school, Su Qingxue felt extremely restless. She began to realize that Fang Yuan's after effects were perhaps more serious than she thought. Late at night, Su Qingxue tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. In her mind, the pale face and weak body of Fang Yuan kept appearing, which made her even more worried. Unable to bear the torment of insomnia, she decided to get up, as usual, to go to the garden pavilion next to the small house and lean on the railing to catch the breeze. The garden at night was especially quiet, with only the rustling of leaves as the gentle breeze passed by. Su Qingxue quietly stared at the window, which was tightly shut. The lights inside were not on. It was completely dark. She couldn't help but recall the time spent in that room with me in her previous life, and a complex, indescribable emotion welled up in her heart. Su Qingxue raised her hand to look at her watch. It was past 1 a.m. He must be asleep by now. That night, Su Qingxue stood outside the window, enduring the cold wind all night. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window onto Su Qingxue's face. She had been awake all night with bloodshot eyes. After breakfast, she slowly got up, preparing to go to school. Standing at the main gate, Su Qingxue seemed a bit anxious. She occasionally glanced towards the small house behind, as if waiting for someone. Time passed minute by minute, second by second, but that familiar figure did not appear. Su Qingxue's brows gradually furrowed, a sense of unease rising in her heart. He always went out at this time every morning. Why was today so unusual? She couldn't help but start overthinking. Could something have happened? Just as Su Qingxue was anxiously pacing, a black sedan slowly drove up to the gate. Seeing this, Su Qingxue quickly walked over, ready to get in the car. However, when she saw the driver in the driver's seat, her face immediately fell. This driver was not the familiar Uncle Lin, but an unfamiliar face. Su Qingxue frowned deeply and asked stiffly, "Why are you driving? Where is Uncle Lin?" The new driver assigned seemed slightly surprised by Su Qingxue's attitude, but quickly regained his composure and respectfully replied, "Miss, Driver Lin has resigned. The butler told me that I would be responsible for picking you up from now on." Su Qingxue's face darkened, her chest heaving. She angrily got out of the car and quickly returned to the villa. The old butler happened to be walking over. Su Qingxue immediately grabbed the old butler's arm. "Butler, where is Driver Lin?" The old butler was suddenly grabbed by her, and his expression was stunned for a moment. He said with some surprise, "Ah, miss, are you referring to Driver Lin?" Driver Lin resigned yesterday and has now left the Su family. Su Qingxue asked with a dark expression, "Why did he resign? If he resigned, then wouldn't Lin Feng also leave the Su family?" As expected, before she could ask, the old butler continued on his own. "Driver Lin has moved away. I heard he went back to his hometown to handle some matters. Lin Feng has also moved out. It seems he moved into the dormitory there. Driver Lin's character is truly impeccable. I think trying to find someone like him again will probably not be easy." Su Qingxue's expression became even darker. She was like a statue, standing silently and motionless, but her eyes were filled with anger, as if they could explode at any moment. Things developing to this point, this was something she had never anticipated. In her past life, she could say she was devoted to him, loving him with all her heart, always by his side, never leaving even for a moment. As for Uncle Lin, he had always served as the driver in the Su family. Even when he and I had been in love for 5 years, Uncle Lin had never resigned. However, now that he had been reborn, everything had become completely different. What on earth was going on? Could it be that just because he was reborn, everyone and everything had to change? So where was Lin Feng? Would he still, like in his past life, love her deeply? This question kept swirling in Su Qingxue's mind, making her feel a surge of fear and unease. My part-time job at the fish farm lasted until 9 p.m. Busy all night, I'm a bit tired. Once I finish the work I'm doing, I'll get ready to clock out. At this moment, the lights of the fish farm sparkled in the night, casting a hazy glow around, adding to the quiet atmosphere. Just then, Xie Hanmo carried a fishing bucket and returned with light steps. As for Yang Xinyu, who had gone fishing with her initially, she was nowhere to be seen. As soon as I saw Xie Hanmo, my eyes lit up. I walked closer, my gaze falling on the bucket in her hand. Curiously, I asked, "Senior, did you catch any fish?" Xie Hanmo slightly curled her lips with a faint smile, brought the bucket in her hand in front of me. I leaned in to look. The bucket was empty. There was nothing inside. I was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but giggle, and said with a laugh, "Senior, why didn't you catch anything?" Xie Hanmo stood to the side, lowering her head and quietly looking at my smiling face. On her face, a gentle smile also unconsciously appeared. She slightly lowered her head, her voice warm. "My first time fishing, my technique wasn't very good. I'll try harder next time." Actually, she knew clearly she hadn't put any thought into fishing at all. The so-called fishing was just an excuse. The intention of the drunkard is not in the wine. How could she truly care whether she caught any fish or not? After I finished laughing, I tilted my head and asked her, "Senior, where is Senior Yang? Didn't she come back with you?" Xie Hanmo slightly shook her head, replied, "Yang Xinyu had something to do, so she left first." "It's getting late. Have you eaten dinner yet?" I unconsciously shook my head. Working all night, my stomach was rumbling now, but this time I thought to myself, I can't let Xie Hanmo treat me again, so I said, "Senior, let me treat you to a meal." Upon hearing this, Xie Hanmo's first reaction was to refuse, as she didn't want me to spend money. But thinking about it again, social interactions require reciprocity. Only then can they develop sustainably. If she accepted my invitation this time, she would have a reason to invite me to a meal next time. Thinking this, she happily agreed. So Xie Hanmo left the fishing gear in her hand at the fish farm's management counter, preparing to go eat with me. At this moment, Qin Mengyao happened to be stepping out from the house next door, and as she looked, she saw Xie Hanmo depositing the fishing gear. She narrowed her eyes slightly and walked over, whispering to me, "Lin Feng, is that your girlfriend?" Her voice wasn't loud, but in this relatively quiet environment, I heard it clearly. Hearing this question, I gasped, panicked, and shook my head. My voice unconsciously lowered, and I said with some embarrassment, "Of course not. She's just a senior from the neighboring school." Qin Mengyao thoughtfully nodded, her lips curling slightly, and she said softly, "Oh, I see. So it seems I misunderstood." She had just seen Xie Hanmo and me walking side by side with a harmonious atmosphere between us, so she truly thought we were a couple. I was made awkward by Qin Mengyao's words, again. When Xie Hanmo returned after depositing the fishing gear, I unconsciously quietly increased the distance between myself and Xie Hanmo. Between us, there was about half a meter of space as we walked. Xie Hanmo keenly noticed my strangeness and couldn't help but feel a hint of doubt. She unconsciously took a step towards me, trying to close the distance between us. However, I immediately and quietly stepped aside. Xie Hanmo's steps halted, and she immediately realized something was wrong. I was actually avoiding her. To confirm her suspicion, Xie Hanmo tried walking a bit closer to me again, but I quickly dodged to the side. Xie Hanmo slightly frowned and couldn't help but call out, "Lin Feng." Hearing her call, I suddenly looked up. "Yes, senior, what is it?" By this time we had reached the path leading from the fish farm to the bus stop. This path was about a few dozen meters long, quite deserted, with no streetlights around, making it look a bit dark. The occasional chirping of insects from the roadside bushes further enhanced the silent and mysterious atmosphere. Xie Hanmo suddenly reached out, her movement quick and forceful, and suddenly grabbed my arm. I tried to pull away before I could even react. My body lost its balance, and Xie Hanmo pulled me towards her. In this hurried moment, my nose caught the faint scent from Xie Hanmo. That fresh scent made me feel a little dazed. I was momentarily stunned, and after regaining my balance, I looked in the direction Xie Hanmo had pulled me, only to see a large hole in front of where I had just walked. The opening of the pit wasn't large, but if I had stepped into it carelessly, I could have been injured. My eyes widened slightly, my eyes filled with fear. Looking at Xie Hanmo, my gaze filled with gratitude. "Senior, thank you for saving me. Oh my god, that was close." I unconsciously touched my chest, my heart pounding like a drum. Xie Hanmo released my arm, gently admonished, "You need to be more careful when walking. Don't be careless." I looked at Xie Hanmo's hand, now withdrawn, and the blush on my face became more pronounced. I nodded slightly, my voice like a cricket's chirp. "I understand, senior." Even though Xie Hanmo had let go, the spot where she had held me seemed to still retain a faint coolness. I couldn't help but secretly look at Xie Hanmo's hand. Her hands were delicate, with long, slender fingers and distinct knuckles, like an exquisite work of art, making one want to look again and again. Now, whenever I saw Xie Hanmo's hands, I couldn't help but recall the scene of our fingers intertwined. I thought to myself, it seems I need to keep my distance from Xie Hanmo. The two of us went to a restaurant near the Beta school, and as soon as we found seats and ordered, even though it was just a short meal, we ran into an acquaintance again. Lu Ruyan happened to be having dinner with friends nearby, and coincidentally, as she turned her head, she saw me eating with Xie Hanmo. Surprise showed on her face. Zhang Ji picked up her phone and secretly took a picture, her fingers quickly tapping on the screen, sending the photo to their three-person group chat. Su Qingxue, your driver's son, and Xie Hanmo seem to have quite a good relationship. Ever since they went out for dinner last time, and after Wang Xin told them about Xie Hanmo's identity, Lu Ruyan became particularly interested in Xie Hanmo, always paying attention to her every move. In Lu Ruyan's eyes, Xie Hanmo came from a prestigious family, and her family background was no less than Su Qingxue's. But why did her standards for choosing a boyfriend not match? At this moment, Su Qingxue was lying alone in a dark room. The room's heavy curtains were drawn, blocking the sunlight outside, and the entire space was filled with a gloomy atmosphere. Several empty wine bottles were placed on the table, some lying horizontally, some vertically, some precariously, balanced on the edge of the table. Su Qingxue was slumped on the sofa after getting drunk. However, she had a terrible dream. In the dream, she saw herself, for Fang Yuan's sake, heartlessly driving Lin Feng away. Lin Feng was pulling his suitcase, his back conveying a sense of loneliness. Just as he reached the main road, a sedan suddenly ran a red light at extreme speed, like an uncontrolled beast. With a loud crash like thunder, Lin Feng was thrown several meters away, his body hitting the ground hard. At that moment, she was standing before the floor-to-ceiling window of her large apartment, holding Fang Yuan in her arms, kissing passionately. Her eyes inadvertently glanced through the glass, seeing the scene unfold on the street outside. In that instant, her gaze suddenly froze, her pupils rapidly dilated, and she immediately recognized the suitcase struck on the road belonged to Lin Feng. Su Qingxue was immediately struck as if by lightning. She forcefully pushed Fang Yuan away and rushed downstairs as if driven mad. Her steps were unsteady, almost falling several times. Everyone sorrowfully told her that Lin Feng had died, but she simply couldn't believe it. How could that be? Lin Feng, who had always been by her side and cared for her so attentively, how could he just disappear like that? Extreme panic like an invisible net enveloped her tightly, making it impossible for her to breathe. At this moment, Su Qingxue suddenly woke up from her dream. She jolted up, her forehead covered in cold sweat streaming down her cheeks. Her head throbbed as if being hammered, as if 1,000 needles were piercing her, and her throat felt so dry it was as if it would smoke. Her voice hoarse, she habitually called out, "Lin Feng, pour me a glass of water." Her voice carried infinite exhaustion and helplessness. She closed her eyes and leaned against the sofa, because for the past 5 years, whenever she was drunk or sick, I was always the first one by her side, giving her a glass of warm water and gently comforting her. During this reborn period, she had indeed initially thought of being with Fang Yuan and deliberately kept her distance from me. But as time went by, she found that she seemed to have grown accustomed to life with me by her side. The small daily things, every gesture, had become deeply ingrained in her life. She simply couldn't live without me. She leaned against the sofa, reaching out to rub her aching forehead, and called out again, "Lin Feng." Then her voice trailed off, and she slowly opened her eyes. Before her was a dark and gloomy room, unlit. The entire space was stifling. The table was cluttered with wine bottles. The sofa was strewn with clothes, a scene of utter disarray. Because she hadn't given permission, the household staff dared not enter her room without authorization. This made her world even more lonely. She thought about how she had appeased Fang Yuan for days and how much effort it took to finally coax Fang Yuan, only to return home utterly exhausted, both physically and mentally. She thought she could find some peace, but unexpectedly, Madame Su questioned her about why she wasn't attending school. This series of events left her mentally drained. Su Qingxue covered her face and suddenly burst into laughter in the darkness. Her laughter was filled with bitterness and helplessness. Why is it like this? She didn't understand. In my previous life, I also took birth control pills, but I didn't make a scene with him, and I didn't even ask for anything from him. I always silently endured everything. At that time, she never felt like she had wronged me. But now, being with Fang Yuan, she suddenly realized that if a man truly loved her deeply, he wouldn't bear to put her in a difficult position. And I was always the one who silently contributed, the one who loved her deeply. At this moment, the phone rang with a ding-dong sound, breaking the silence in the room. She reached out and picked it up. Liu Ruyan sent a photo in the Vex group. She dazedly clicked to view it. Her complexion immediately turned grim. In the photo, Xie Hanmo and I were sitting and eating in a restaurant. The two of us were chatting happily. An unknown flame of anger surged within Su Qingxue. Why was Lin Feng so close with Xie Hanmo? She clutched her phone tightly. Her knuckles turned white from the force. A strong and extreme sense of unease arose in her heart. She suddenly realized that she might truly be about to lose Lin Feng. After Xie Hanmo and I finished our meal, Xie Hanmo prepared to take me back to the dorm. I shyly said that it was getting late. "Senior, perhaps you should head back first. I can get back to the dorm by myself." By this time, the night outside the window was deep. Pedestrians on the street gradually became sparse. I looked up at the wall clock. The hour hand was about to point to 10. Then I thought about Xie Hanmo having to take a taxi back alone later. As I thought about her going back, my heart was filled with guilt. Xie Hanmo gently shook her head. She replied softly, "It's a bit dark on the roads at this hour. Walk with me for a bit. You're not in a hurry to catch a taxi back anyway." With that, she took a step forward, heading towards the main road. Although I still felt apologetic, seeing that Xie Hanmo had already started walking, I hurried a few steps to catch up. All the way, we walked side by side. Occasionally, we exchanged a few hushed words. The pale yellow streetlights along the road stretched our shadows, making them sometimes long, sometimes short. Not long after, we arrived at the dormitory building. Xie Hanmo stopped. She said softly, "We're here. Go on up." I looked up. My eyes were filled with gratitude. "Sincerely," I said. "Senior, thank you for your trouble today." Xie Hanmo waved her hand, then she turned and left. Xie Hanmo was tall, long-legged, and beautiful. In the night, she stood out even more. Since she walked me back to the dorm, quite a few male students passing by couldn't help but turn their heads to look. Their eyes were filled with curiosity and admiration. I could feel those gazes. I felt completely uncomfortable. My blushing cheeks became even more apparent. At this time, beneath the dormitory building, it was common to see female students seeing off their boyfriends. Naturally, outsiders would assume Xie Hanmo and I were a couple. But in reality, Xie Hanmo and I were just senior and junior, with a good relationship, nothing more special than that. I quickly entered the dormitory building. When I reached my dorm room door, the moment I pushed the door open, a roommate looked up from his computer. His eyes lit up. He immediately shouted, "Lin Feng, your girlfriend just sent you a gift. It's on your bed." I stood at the door, my steps suddenly halting. My face was full of surprise. Unconsciously, I pointed to myself, asking in confusion, "Huh? Whose girlfriend? Me?" I was utterly perplexed, wondering when I had gotten a girlfriend. How could I not even know about it myself? At this moment, another roommate came out of the bathroom, holding a towel. He walked towards my bed, drying his hair. Looking at the beautifully wrapped doll, his eyes were filled with admiration. He exclaimed, "Lin Feng, your girlfriend treats you so well. Even this late, she specially arranged for a delivery person to bring you a gift." He asked, with a hint of curiosity, "Lin Feng, isn't your girlfriend Su Qingxue?" The incident where I took photos of Su Qingxue going to school before was something my roommates had all heard about. Su Qingxue was usually hot-tempered, arrogant, and cold. She never paid attention to anyone. Yet, when I took photos of her going to school every day, she never got angry. Some people even saw me getting out of Su Qingxue's car. The two of us drove to school together. Such signs made it hard not to draw conclusions. I wasn't angry at all. My lips curved slightly upward, revealing a faint smile. I patiently explained, "Of course not. Taking photos before was due to a misunderstanding. Miss Su and I have no relationship whatsoever. Besides, what is Miss Su's status? She is completely from a different world than mine." As I spoke, I walked to my bed. Gently, I picked up the beautifully wrapped doll from the bed. Carefully, I examined the doll in my hands. A complex emotion welled up inside me. This doll was indeed bought by Su Qingxue. Because after Su Qingxue and I established our relationship, Su Qingxue had given me an identical one. At that time, I was overjoyed. I cherished this doll dearly. I treasured it and placed it by my bedside. Every night before sleeping, I would hug it. However, this love eventually ended in tragedy. When I was unintentionally kicked out of the house by Su Qingxue, this doll that had been with me for 5 years, I couldn't bear to take it with me. Thinking of this, I lowered my head slightly. Looking at the doll in my hand again, I couldn't help but reach out my hand. My fingers gently and slowly caressed the doll's box. My heart was a jumble of emotions. At this moment, Juye, full of curiosity, hurriedly moved closer. He carefully examined the brand of this doll. A look of surprise appeared on his face. He lowered his voice and said to me, "Lin Feng, this brand of doll is very expensive. It must cost at least 7 figures, right?" His words were full of astonishment at the doll's value. I gently looked up at Juye, a hint of faint helplessness in my eyes. I slowly shook my head. I calmly replied, "I don't know either. I've never really cared about the prices of luxury items. At this moment, my mind was in turmoil because of this suddenly appearing doll. My thoughts were in disarray. Then I seemed to remember something. I asked Ju Yi again, "Did a delivery person bring this doll? Didn't you see them?" Ju Ye and the other roommate exchanged glances. Both shook their heads simultaneously. The other roommate, while drying his wet hair with a towel, explained, "I don't know. The delivery person brought it to the dorm gate and handed it to the building manager. Then, when the manager saw us returning, they asked us to take it back for them." After hearing this, I nodded slightly. I said softly, "Okay, I'll be right back out." Holding the plush doll, I turned and walked out of the dorm. I walked to the trash can under the dormitory building. My gaze casually swept over first, accidentally. I saw a car. A red sports car parked a few dozen meters from the dorm. That familiar car model and unique license plate immediately made me recognize it as Su Qingxue's car. I squinted slightly. A sarcastic smile played on my lips. I inwardly found Su Qingxue a bit amusing. What was she implying? Did she take my words? Just try pursuing me seriously? Is she really starting to pursue me now? Then where is Fang Yuan? Has he gone abroad already? Only if Fang Yuan went abroad would Su Qingxue, in her anger, look for a replacement, right? In the dim night, I let out a mocking laugh. Then, without hesitation, I threw the doll I was holding, like discarding a worthless item, into the trash can. The action was decisive and neat, without any hesitation or lingering feelings. Su Qingxue sat in her car nearby. Since I returned, she had seen my figure, her gaze never leaving me. Without looking away, she witnessed firsthand Xie Hanmo escorting me to the dormitory building. After they exchanged a few words, Xie Hanmo turned and left. Then she saw me holding the gift she gave me, walking step by step towards the trash can. Su Qingxue's eyes were filled with disbelief. She stared intently at me, watching me throw the doll, like discarding a hateful piece of trash, throwing it into the trash bin with one hand. As I left, I didn't even turn my head to look back at Su Qingxue. It felt as if my heart had been struck a powerful blow. An unprecedented sense of failure welled up within me. Impossible, this is impossible. Su Qingxue's lips trembled slightly. She mumbled softly, "Doesn't he like this doll the most?" Su Qingxue frantically took out her phone. Her fingers trembled as she sent me a message. "Why did you move to the dorms? Wasn't my place good enough for you?" She desperately wanted an answer, wanting to understand why I was acting so strangely. However, as soon as the message was sent, a red exclamation mark immediately appeared. Su Qingxue looked at the exclamation mark on the screen. Her entire body seemed to freeze. He actually blocked me. He's not even my friend anymore. This truth struck her like lightning. Su Qingxue sat stunned in the driver's seat, unable to snap out of it for a long time. The anger in her heart, confusion, disappointment, and other emotions intertwined, making her utterly distressed. After Madame Su's intervention with Fang Yuan, Su Qingxue rarely returned to the old Su family home. Before, she returned because she felt a slight urge to see me, even though she didn't understand why she kept wanting to be near me. But she and I were together for 5 years. She had long grown accustomed to my care. Moreover, those 5 years of living together had made her subconsciously see me as her everything. She was used to controlling everything about me. Now I was beyond her control. This made Su Qingxue somewhat frustrated. In her previous life, Su Qingxue suffered from debilitating migraines. Every time the headache recurred, that bone-piercing pain, as if a sharp awl were carelessly stirring inside her head, caused her unbearable agony. Fortunately, back then, I would carefully concoct a special aromatherapy blend for her. When that blend was burned, a swirling blue smoke would rise, carrying a unique fragrance that filled the room. Su Qingxue only needed to inhale this scent to quickly fall into a deep sleep. Miraculously, after waking up, the headache would miraculously disappear. Now, reborn, her migraine condition, though not yet as severe as in her past life, had recently been exacerbated by numerous worries causing her persistent insomnia. Adding to that, Fang Yuan's situation kept her restless all day. The migraine symptoms began to subtly reappear. Su Qingxue furrowed her brows. She tried, digging deep into her memories to find the name of the aromatherapy blend I had made for her in the past life. After a moment, she took out her phone and typed down the name of the blend. Then she sent it to the butler, and specifically instructed the butler to quickly find an aromatherapist to replicate this blend. After sending the message, she pushed open the car door and returned to the shared apartment with Fang Yuan. By this time, Fang Yuan had moved in, living with Su Qingxue in the spacious apartment in the city center. The moment Su Qingxue pushed the door open and entered the apartment, Fang Yuan, engrossed in looking at photos on his phone, heard the sound. Like a thief caught red-handed, his face turned panicked. He clumsily and quickly turned off his phone. Then he hastily stood up. With a forced smile, he looked at Su Qingxue and said, "Qingxue, you're back?" Su Qingxue, restless in her heart, didn't notice Fang Yuan's subtle actions at all. With a serious expression, she nodded slightly. She asked in a low voice, "It's so late. Why aren't you asleep yet?" She looked up at the clock on the wall. The hands had quietly moved close to 12. Looking out through the large floor-to-ceiling windows, the road outside was silent. Not a single pedestrian could be seen. Even the occasional passing cars were sparse. The whole world seemed to have fallen asleep. Only this empty road remained, under the pale yellow streetlights stretching far into the distance. Su Qingxue's gaze fell upon the road outside the window. Her thoughts involuntarily drifted back to her past life. In my past life, it was on this very road that I was hit and thrown by an oncoming car. She felt a hint of hesitation. This road usually doesn't have much traffic on normal days. How could it be such a coincidence? At the exact moment I was passing by, a runaway car came barreling down. Su Qingxue's expression turned cold. She walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, leaning her body forward slightly, gazing intently down at the road outside. Seeing Su Qingxue like this, Fang Yuan felt a little uneasy. He wondered what was wrong with her now. Fang Yuan approached her gently, wrapping his arms around her waist, he said softly with a hint of grievance. "Qingxue, you seem unhappy lately. Is it because of me?" "I'm sorry, I didn't want this either." Su Qingxue withdrew her gaze from the road, her headache intensified, as if a giant invisible hand was crushing her head. She answered unconsciously. Fang Yuan's voice was low. It has nothing to do with you, Fang Yuan. It's my fault. I didn't take good care of you. However, at the same time she was speaking, her eyes couldn't help but glance at the road outside the window again. In her mind, uncontrollably echoed the heart-stopping screech of brakes and the crunch of the suitcase being smashed. She still remembered clearly. From that shattered suitcase peeking out was the tail of a blue doll. That doll was once Lin Feng's treasured possession. Even when they broke up in the past life, Lin Feng took nothing with him, except for that one doll. Why in this life did Lin Feng so decisively throw that doll in the trash? Qingxue. Qingxue. Seeing Su Qingxue lost in thought again, Fang Yuan called out to her softly. Only then did Su Qingxue snap back to reality. She looked down at Fang Yuan and asked, "What is it?" Fang Yuan carefully observed Su Qingxue's expression. His eyes were full of concern. Then he smiled gently and said, "It's getting late. You should go take a bath and get some rest afterwards. You have school tomorrow." Su Qingxue nodded silently. She let go of Fang Yuan's embrace. Turning, she headed towards the bathroom. Fang Yuan then sat down on the sofa. He took out his phone again. His fingers tapped lightly, opening his private album. A photo immediately caught his eye. It was from when he was in middle school, during an international summer camp, a group photo with a friend. In the picture, he was smiling brightly with pure eyes, full of youthful vitality. So many years have passed. He had always carefully kept this photo and could never bear to delete it. Fang Yuan gently caressed the photo with his finger, as if touching a distant and beautiful memory. Suddenly, a dark glint flashed in his eyes, thinking about what Madame Su had done to him. He unconsciously reached out and touched his stomach. His gentle gaze was instantly replaced by a coldness. A few days later, I was sitting in a corner of the cafeteria with Yang Jian, enjoying our lunch. Yang Jian was eating with gusto, when he suddenly seemed to remember something. He said to me beside him, "Right, Lin Feng, in a few days, we will have a team-building activity with the neighboring agriculture department. Do you want to join?" As Yang Jian spoke, his eyes sparkled with anticipation. Hearing this, the chopsticks in my hand paused. A look of confusion appeared on my face. I furrowed my brow slightly. I still couldn't understand why the literature department would team up with the neighboring agriculture department for a joint team-building activity. I took a sip of the soup in front of me, and then a bite of noodles. I asked Yang Jian, why the sudden desire to organize an activity with the agriculture department? Is it only with the neighboring agriculture department? Are there other schools participating? Polytechnic University, where Fang Yuan studies, is not far from medical university. I don't want to encounter Fang Yuan and Su Qingxue now. If this team-building activity turns into an inter-school event, then the chances of running into them will greatly increase. Yang Jian shook his head slightly. A smile appeared on his face. You don't know about this. A senior from their agriculture department is pursuing a male student in our class. This team-building activity is being organized by her personally. As Yang Jian spoke, his voice carried a hint of gossipy excitement. My eyes widened slightly, looking surprised. So from our side, suddenly, won't anyone object? From what I see, a cross-departmental team-building activity like this should have quite a few people raising objections. Yang Jian waved his hand dismissively and said, "Oh, come on, what's there to object to? Everyone is enthusiastically signing up," he said. Yang Jian skillfully swiped on his phone a few times, opening a photo, then, eagerly, he placed the phone screen in front of me, mysteriously asking, "What do you think? Isn't she beautiful?" I took a closer look and my eyes widened slightly. I couldn't help but exclaim, isn't this Xie Hanmo?" The beautiful figure in the photo was indeed Xie Hanmo. I recognized her at first glance. Hearing this, Yang Jian immediately became alert. He said excitedly, "Lin Feng, you actually know Xie Hanmo?" Yang Jian then continued to himself, "But it makes sense. Xie Hanmo is a famous blogger. She's about to reach 10 million followers online. It's normal for you to know her?" I stared at Yang Jian, dumbfounded. I never expected Xie Hanmo to have such a background. Xie Hanmo? She's actually a blogger. And with so many followers, I interact with Xie Hanmo every day, yet I never realized it. Unable to contain my curiosity, I immediately took out my phone and asked Yang Jian, "On which platform is Xie Hanmo? What's her account?" Yang Jian replied with a smile, "On that short video platform, you'll find it if you search. Her account name is simply Xie Hanmo, never changed." After speaking, Yang Jian lowered his voice and said mysteriously, "This team-building activity is happening because Xie Hanmo will be there. All the male students are overjoyed. Everyone is considering going, just to see the amusement of those who are too boastful. A blogger with millions of fans. What will she actually look like in real life? I've already registered you. You must come with me then. Otherwise, you'll be very lonely by myself." As Yang Jian spoke, he gently tugged at my sleeve, with a pleading look on his face. I had just searched on the short video platform for Xie Hanmo's account, and nodded unconsciously. "Okay, well, go together." I never liked hiking. I knew very well that my stamina wasn't great. Hiking was a very tiring activity for me, but as soon as I heard Xie Hanmo would be attending this team-building activity, I barely thought twice and decisively decided to go. Quickly, I found Xie Hanmo's account and clicked on it. Xie Hanmo's account content mostly showed the daily life of an agriculture student. She occasionally shared some knowledge about plants and insects. Besides this daily academic content, most of the time, she was teaching people how to grow flowers and vegetables. In the videos, Xie Hanmo wore a wide-brimmed hat, standing on that vibrant land, seriously sharing knowledge about plants and insects with everyone. However, among the tens of thousands of comments, half of the people seemed not to care at all about what she was actually saying. They commented freely in the comment section. I casually scrolled through the comment section and couldn't help but find the content amusing. I thought to myself, a gentle female student, and surprisingly like Sister Xie Shui. What would she think upon reading these comments? She must be feeling quite embarrassed. I curled my lips slightly, revealing a smile. Then I sent a screenshot of the account to Xie Hanmo with a cute emoji. Sister, I found you. Xie Hanmo quickly replied to my message. How did you know I have a short video account? Seeing the message I sent, Xie Hanmo suddenly felt a bit embarrassed because when she created this account, it was right when she had just entered university, stubbornly choosing to major in agriculture, which led to her parents cutting off her living expenses. At that time, she thought perhaps she could earn some money online to supplement her living costs. To make the account popular quickly, she had followed her friend's advice to wear revealing clothes and sometimes wear the Jack miniskirts that boys liked. Every day when filming videos, she had to carefully choose flattering angles. Even her hands with their distinct knuckles would be featured in close-ups. Therefore, many of her fans were very bold, teasing her in various ways in the comment section every day. Thinking about how I had seen her online, with these somewhat provocative images, and had seen those bold comments, she felt embarrassed. She quickly typed, trying to salvage her image in my eyes. I don't understand the methods either. This account was all based on others' advice. Even the clothes and poses were designed by others. I really don't understand. She repeatedly emphasized the two words "don't understand," desperately wanting in front of me to maintain her image as a consistently gentle senior student and upright. In reality, this account, from its creation until now, everything, including the outfits, the outline for the agricultural knowledge content, even the hand gestures, were all meticulously planned by herself. After sending the message, Xie Hanmo put down her phone, covering her face with both hands. She felt as if the sky was about to fall. Before, when no one was paying attention, she could casually interact with fans online and even boldly engage in the comment section. But now that she liked someone, she felt like she had fallen into a huge gangster scene. At this moment, Yang Xinyu, having finished weeding a row of peanuts, straightened up, wiped a bead of sweat from her forehead, and looked up at Xie Hanmo with a troubled expression, asking with concern, "Seventh sister, what's wrong? Did something happen?" Xie Hanmo clutched her hair and said with a very complicated expression, "This is a bit complicated to explain." Yang Xinyu continued weeding and said casually, "Then explain it simply." Xie Hanmo frowned in distress and said, "This matter is like you being a seductive streamer online, and the person you like sees it, and that person screenshots it and sends it to you, praising you, saying you did well, that you're great. Although she is a blogger who shares mainstream knowledge, not like those seductive bloggers, but she can't stand the fans' enthusiasm. She doesn't know what he will think when he sees those comments. She regrets it deeply now." Hearing this, Yang Xinyu's hand movement suddenly stopped, staring at Xie Hanmo in surprise. After a long pause, Yang Xinyu stammered, "Seventh sister, I didn't expect. You do this kind of thing too. What's your account? Let me follow you." Saying that, Yang Xinyu really took out her phone. Seeing this, Xie Hanmo turned red with anger. The next day, Yang Jian and I arrived early at the large East Gate. This was our first team-building event since the semester began. The young people who had just entered university were all very excited. Even though we were all classmates, in reality, I didn't really know many people. I also didn't often browse gossip forums, but this time I heard Xie Hanmo would also be attending, so I was a little bit looking forward to it. When Yang Jian and I arrived near the large bus, Yang Jian asked me, "Lin Feng, have you eaten breakfast?" I shook my head. "No, but I brought coconut bread and milk. Do you want some?" Yang Jian said to me, "The bus is still half an hour from departing. I'm going to buy coffee over there. Lin Feng, you go get on the bus first." I nodded. When I got on the bus, Yang Jian asked me again, "Lin Feng, what do you want to drink? How about a caramel latte?" I nodded again. "Sure." Saying that, I got on the bus first. We arrived early, so there weren't many people on the bus yet. I chose a spot in the middle and sat by the window. I placed my backpack on the adjacent seat. After doing these things, I took out my earphones and started listening to music. On the other side, Xie Hanmo had also arrived very early. Yang Xinyu walked beside her, stroking her hair and asking, "Kimu, what do you think of my image today?" Working in the fields all day, Yang Xinyu's skin had become tanned and dark. Normally, she looked like a farmer, her clothes always covered in dirt. Today, because she had to go on a team-building trip with seniors and she heard there would be many handsome guys, Yang Xinyu had especially washed her hair and styled it. She had even woken up at 6 a.m. with Xie Hanmo and carefully chosen their outfits. Yang Xinyu chattered all the way. Xie Hanmo used the camera on her phone to check her face a bit. "Very good. I've put on makeup. Skincare is applied. No pimples on my face. The condition looks perfect." When the two of them arrived at the gathering point, there were already quite a few people. Xie Hanmo looked towards the large bus a few times. Yang Xinyu pulled her forward, saying, "Let's go, let's go, let's get on that bus." As a result, after only a few steps, some of the male students recognized Xie Hanmo. They immediately exclaimed in surprise, "Wow, is that Xie Hanmo, the agricultural blogger who educates while farming?" I only remembered him. This was why he didn't dare to show me his account. He was clearly a blogger who popularized agricultural knowledge, but his fans always saw other things. I was looking at my phone, wearing earphones, so I couldn't hear the noise from outside the bus window. But soon, I felt someone walk past me. Then that person picked up the bag I had placed on the seat and plopped down beside me. At first, I thought it was Yang Jian returning. 2 seconds later, I realized something was wrong. Turning my head to look, I immediately frowned. "Why are you here?" Su Qingxue's eye bags were slightly swollen. She said with a gloomy expression, "Why am I here? Are you very surprised?" I frowned. "Isn't this the literature department's team-building activity?" Su Qingxue glanced at me, and her eyes were filled with disgust. Su Qingxue remained silent. She tried to suppress her anger, not answering the question. Last night she had a migraine and couldn't sleep, but after burning the incense she had someone buy, it had no calming effect. She had stayed up all night. Her spirits weren't very good. Seeing her sitting there motionless, I felt a little annoyed. I stood up, wanting to switch seats, but Su Qingxue wouldn't let me. Her legs blocked the aisle, and she held onto my backpack. I stood up and looked at her. "Let me pass. I want to go out." Su Qingxue didn't budge. "Just stay seated here." "I have something to ask you," I said irritably. "Miss Su, we're not that close, are we? I have nothing to say to you." Su Qingxue turned her head to look at me, her expression a little complex. She lowered her voice and asked, "You're not close to me?" I saw that her expression seemed a bit off. I sat back down, looking at Su Qingxue. "What do you want to say, finally?" Su Qingxue leaned closer, whispering, "Stop pretending, Lin Feng. I know you've also been reborn, right?" My heart jolted. I looked at Su Qingxue in shock and fear, a bit panicked inside and also a bit terrified. How could Su Qingxue possibly know? The matter of my rebirth had always felt very surreal to me. I had never told anyone. How could Su Qingxue possibly know? I leaned back slightly, although I quickly hid the look of shock on my face. But my gaze and expression just now made Su Qingxue confirm her thoughts. I said with a stiff expression, "Miss Su, what exactly are you talking about?" Su Qingxue stared at my expression for a moment. Her complexion suddenly improved. She raised her hand to her forehead, smiling gently. Then, she looked at me with eyes that were incredibly familiar from our past life. She said softly, "Lin Feng, you've returned too? That's wonderful." I, however, didn't feel it was wonderful at all. I had truly never imagined that not only I had been reborn, but Su Qingxue had been reborn too. No wonder I felt Su Qingxue had changed so much. Su Qingxue leaned even closer to me, gently lifting my chin with her hand. She whispered, "Lin Feng, I missed you so much." I frowned tightly, shaking off Su Qingxue's hand. I said coldly, "Don't touch me. You're very troublesome." Su Qingxue nodded. "Yes, I'm troublesome. I deserve to die. Everything before was my fault. Lin Feng, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have driven you away that night. I was truly wrong." Su Qingxue hadn't just been suffering from headaches these past few days and had trouble sleeping, but she had also dreamt of me being hit by a car. Those images tormented her, causing her to wake up startled in the middle of the night, and each time she saw Fang Yuan lying beside her, she couldn't help but mistake Fang Yuan for me. She knew it was wrong, but she couldn't control it. Su Qingxue looked at me. "Lin Feng, let's make up. Can you stop being angry with me?" Just as I was about to speak, Xie Hanmo, with an expressionless face, walked up to our seats. Xie Hanmo's expression was a bit somber. Her voice was cold. She said to me, "Lin Feng, didn't you say you wanted to treat me to bubble tea? I want one now. Can you buy me one?" I looked at Xie Hanmo, dazed, frozen for 2 seconds. I immediately nodded. "Ah, yes, of course." I felt Xie Hanmo didn't look too well, but I didn't have time to think too much about it now. I was even grateful for Xie Hanmo's appearance, which rescued me because I truly didn't know how to communicate with the current Su Qingxue. How could Su Qingxue have been reborn? If it were the 18-year-old Su Qingxue, I would know how to refuse. But the current Su Qingxue was the Su Qingxue who had dated me for 5 years. Her mood was erratic. Instinctively, I just wanted to stay away from her. Su Qingxue, however, had no intention of letting me pass. She crossed her arms, her legs blocking the aisle. She looked up at Xie Hanmo, her voice very cold. "Xie Hanmo, what are you, a student from School B, doing here?" Xie Hanmo, with a frosty expression, said, "Excuse me, I don't want to talk to you." Su Qingxue's face darkened. "Lin Feng, you should just stay seated obediently. The bus is about to depart. Who's buying bubble tea at a time like this?" I wanted to say more, but Su Qingxue looked up at me, smiling and saying, "Lin Feng, don't you have a mole on your waist? I know of a cosmetic surgery company that can help you have it removed." I was startled. My reaction was a bit extreme. I forcefully raised my hand and slapped Su Qingxue across the face. "Su Qingxue, shut up right now." Su Qingxue was caught off guard by the slap. Her entire body stiffened, maintaining the pose of being slapped. She stared at me, her eyes full of shock and disbelief. What just happened? I hit her again. I dared to hit her again. Su Qingxue gasped, glancing at Xie Hanmo. She said with a cold laugh, Lin Feng, if you have issues with me, you can discuss them privately. Making a scene in front of others is so unsightly. She was asserting her claim, and also sending a message to Xie Hanmo that she and I were very intimate. She even knew about the mole on my waist, indicating our very close relationship. There was no need to say more. Xie Hanmo would surely understand. She wanted Xie Hanmo to know when to back down. My eyes turned red with anger. I have nothing to say to you. Stop saying these disgusting things. I was worried Su Qingxue would say something else. I looked at Xie Hanmo, feeling a bit embarrassed. I didn't even dare to meet Xie Hanmo's eyes, sister. I apologize. The timing isn't very suitable today. Perhaps I can treat you next time? Xie Hanmo's face grew heavy. She stared intently at Su Qingxue for a moment, and then turned to look at me. She saw my reddened eyes and cheeks, understanding my embarrassment and awkwardness. She remained silent for a few seconds, a hint of bitterness in her heart. She pursed her lips, nodded in compromise, and said, after speaking, she no longer looked at me and turned to leave. She couldn't clearly articulate how she felt inside, only that her young heart was pounding. Budding love, for the first time in her life, she gathered all her courage to try and pursue a boy who stirred her heart. Yet, it ended so abruptly. It was so decisive. This made her a little sad. She got off the bus and walked towards school BS large bus. Seeing that Xie Hanmo had already left, I felt a little uneasy. I kept feeling that Xie Hanmo's expression just now was a bit strange, but I couldn't figure out why I didn't want to sit with Su Qingxue. I stood up and walked to the very back of the large bus. There was still an empty seat there, so I sat down. Su Qingxue, having been slapped by me and now seeing me moving away on my own, her gaze darkened. She wiped her face with her hand, saying nothing more. My expression was very unpleasant, but I remained calm. The past life was the past life. This life is this life. The current me has no relation whatsoever with Su Qingxue. Su Qingxue's personality is erratic. She is the young lady of the Su family and is strictly controlled by Madame Su. Her personality is a bit extreme, but this is not a reason for her to try and manipulate me. Liu Ruyan turned her head to look at our situation. She felt something strange that couldn't be put into words. She texted Su Qingxue. Qingxue, does Fang Yuan know about your and Lin Sung's situation? A glint appeared in Su Qingxue's eyes. She irritably took out her phone and typed, he doesn't need to know about this. Su Qingxue was about to get engaged to Fang Yuan, but she didn't think that after getting engaged to Fang Yuan, she would have to distance herself from me. I no longer wanted to talk to Su Qingxue and didn't even want to look at her. I turned my head to look out the window. Take tissues to wipe the corners of my eyes. When Yang Jian returned with coffee, he saw me sitting at the back of the large bus. There was no empty seat beside me. The large bus was packed. He was about to come over when Liu Ruoyan pulled him back. She smiled and said to Yang Jian, Student Yang, there are no more seats in the back. Why don't you sit here? She pointed to a seat across the aisle. Yang Jian actually didn't dare to cross because Su Qingxue was staring at me. The atmosphere between us was very strange. The surrounding students didn't dare to breathe heavily. After all, given Su Qingxue's status and her notoriously bad temper, he hesitated for a moment and could only sit down. Then he texted me, Lin Feng, I bought the coffee. Do you want me to bring it to you? I saw Yang Jian's figure, replied to a message. No need. Yang Jian, you don't need to come over either. Let's meet at the destination. Yang Jian quickly replied, Okay. Yang Jian actually really wanted to know the relationship between Su Qingxue and me. It wasn't just him who wanted to know, but everyone on the bus wanted to know. So Yang Jian immediately clicked on the gossip group of University A. As expected, there were over 99 messages there. Since Su Qingxue got on the bus until now, the bus has entered the highway. The students on the bus were quite quiet. Some people would secretly take photos and send pictures of me and Su Qingxue and Xie Hanmo talking to the big gossip group. Excitedly gossiping, I scrolled through the gossip group and saw these messages. The more I read, the worse my expression became, especially when I saw someone badmouthing Xie Hanmo. I felt even more uncomfortable. With Su Qingxue's character, she is not worthy of being compared to Sister Xie Shui at all. Sister Xie Shui has good character, her values are upright, and she treats others elegantly. She happily helps others. How can Su Qingxue compare? I picked up my phone and started typing a message. Please everyone, stop speculating. I have no relationship with Su Qingxue. We are not even friends. Furthermore, she really has a boyfriend. And please don't attack Sister Xie Shui. Sister Xie Shui and I are just normal friends. I hope everyone gossips rationally. No rumors, no spreading rumors. After sending the message, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. It's fine. However, my owner Yuang is rumored. But I don't like Xie Hanmo being rumored like this either. Sister Xie Shui is such a good person. I don't want her to be attacked because of me. Yang Xinwu saw Xie Hanmo returning. She gave up her seat, letting Xie Hanmo sit next to her, then asked curiously, Momo, weren't you going to find that junior? Why did you come back? Xie Hanmo's face was very bad. Many people greeted her on the way. She simply nodded, not in the mood to talk to anyone else. Her expression was ice cold. She sat next to Yang Xinwu without saying anything, just stared at the seat in front, spacing out. Those who didn't know Xie Hanmo, seeing her so expressionless, with a cold expression, would think she was spacing out. But young Xinwu knew Xie Hanmo was angry inside. She was trying hard to control herself from exploding. She is a very patient and self-controlled person. Young Xinwu was afraid of angering her. He didn't even dare to say much. In the large bus, the noise of people, mixed with the roar of the engine, Xie Hanmo was as if in a different, silent world. She stared blankly ahead, as if countless emotions were accumulated in her chest. Her voice was so faint, it was almost a whisper. Can I still continue to pursue? Her voice was filled with helplessness and disappointment, as if carrying all the expectations and broken illusions of hers from the past few days. This was the first time in her life she was moved by a guy. She thought it was a wonderful encounter that could start a romantic story, but unexpectedly, it quickly led to a dead end. This made Xie Hanmo feel as if a large rock was blocking her chest, extremely uncomfortable. Yang Xinwu, sitting beside her, was idly playing with his phone. Hearing Xie Hanmo say that, he was shocked. He incredulously turned his head to look at Xie Hanmo with wide eyes. What's wrong? It's only been a few days, and you don't love him anymore? In his perception, Xie Hanmo was not someone who gave up easily, let alone this was the guy she longed for day and night. This sudden change was truly incomprehensible to him. Xie Hanmo slightly lowered her head, her hands unconsciously clutched the hem of her clothes, her voice was still low. It's not that I don't love him anymore, but I can't deliberately be the third party. Every word seemed to be gritted out through clenched teeth. Her moral boundaries did not allow it. Hearing this, the surprise on his face became more apparent. It took a while for him to regain his senses. Stuttering, he said, What? What are you talking about? What? A third party? Lin Feng has a girlfriend? This news was too surprising for him. After all, a few days ago, Xie Hanmo was still enthusiastically pursuing Lin Feng. How did a girlfriend suddenly appear? Xie Hanmo didn't answer immediately. She just sat there, her expression becoming extremely grim, as if covered by a layer of fog. She thought of Su Qingxue just now. Her confident demeanor of claiming ownership over her was like a needle piercing her heart, as if seeing her own embarrassed appearance at that time. How humiliating. Like a clown dancing, becoming redundant in the face of someone else's love. Xie Hanmo, you are truly an idiot. She couldn't help but scold herself inwardly. Her heart was filled with jealousy and unwillingness towards Su Qingxue. She gritted her teeth and thought to herself, how many precious incense sticks did Su Qingxue light in her past life? How lucky to have Lin Feng, such a good guy. Xie Hanmo felt that in terms of appearance, knowledge, or character, she was not inferior to Su Qingxue. The only reason she could think of was that she appeared too late. If she could have met Lin Feng a little earlier, then perhaps at this moment the person by his side would be herself. Thinking this way, a hint of loneliness flashed in Xie Hanmo's eyes. Better to be sad, don't you know when they'll break up? As soon as the words were spoken, she found herself a bit ridiculous but couldn't help but harbor a sliver of hope. She secretly asked herself, will she be able to wait until that day? Or after going up the mountain later, will I sincerely go to the temple to pray? Praying to Buddha to bless Su Qingxue and Lin Feng to break up soon. Yang Xinwu looked at Xie Hanmo, who was in a daze, with both pity and helplessness. Who is Lin Feng's girlfriend, do you know? Oh, right. Last time we played Truth or Dare, he said he had a first love. Could it be this person? Seeing Xie Hanmo not responding, he also knew that his words of comfort were weak and meaningless at this moment, so he scrolled through his phone, while trying to find words to comfort her. Oh, don't be so sad. This is not a big deal, but next time you pursue someone, it's best to ask clearly. First, if they have a girlfriend, otherwise you'll become a laughingstock. However, Xie Hanmo at this moment, her heart was only filled with obsession for Lin Feng. Completely ignoring Yang Xinwu, she only found his words extremely noisy. Annoyed, she took out her phone. Her fingers unconsciously touched Lin Feng's WeChat interface at this moment in their WeChat group. Someone had screenshotted the clarification message I posted in the gossip group and deliberately messaged Xie Hanmo asking, Momo, isn't this the junior you're pursuing? It's been so many days, it seems your pursuit speed is a bit slow. He said he has no relationship with you. Immediately after, the merciless taunts of the seniors rolled in like a tide. Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. So the almighty Momo also has times when she can't do anything. Dying of laughter, pursuing for so long, only to get a no relationship in return. Ha 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 ha, messages in the group kept flashing. The entire screen was filled with teasing messages for Xie Hanmo, but she wasn't angry at all because her eyes were strongly drawn to the message I sent. I not only clarified my relationship with him, but also simultaneously clarified my relationship with Su Qingxue. I clearly stated that Su Qingxue has a boyfriend. Myself and Su Qingxue are just ordinary classmates, not even friends. Xie Hanmo looked at the phone screen. The light in her eyes, which had dimmed, suddenly reignited, her melancholic appearance and her slumped body slowly straightened up. The sky has cleared, the rain has stopped. She felt like she was okay again. Xie Hanmo could not wait any longer and opened WeChat to message me. Junior, is that Su Qingxue always clinging to you like that? After sending it, she worried her intentions were too obvious. Hurriedly added, don't misunderstand, I don't mean anything else. I just feel you should keep your distance from people with bad tempers. Like that. After sending the message, she stared at the screen, thinking to herself, I'm just purely concerned about my junior. Hell understand, he's not a manipulative junior, he probably won't hate me. At this moment, I am on a different bus with Su Qingxue. I'm wearing headphones. My eyes are blankly looking out the window. The scenery keeps receding. Su Qingxue tried several times to approach me, wanting to break this silent atmosphere, but I was lost in my own world. Ignoring her words, always not responding, Su Qingxue, who was originally proud after being rejected several times, her self-esteem rose. She decisively sat back in her seat with a cold expression, without another word, but she wasn't in a hurry in her heart, because she knew that both I and she were reborn. We had spent 5 years together. In this world, no one understood each other better than us. In her opinion, my current coldness was only temporary. We would eventually get back together. The bus on the winding road had been running for a full 2 hours. The bumpy roads finally ended upon arrival. The people on the bus got off one by one. Su Qingxue immediately stood up. She walked to the end of the bus and blocked my path. The classmate next to me saw the awkward atmosphere, quickly stood up and slipped away. Su Qingxue then sat down next to me. At this moment, Su Qingxue in the bus was like a statue, sitting firmly on the seat with no intention of getting up to get off. The accompanying people stood up and got off one after another. They walked in the aisle, occasionally secretly glancing at Su Qingxue and me. I sat next to Su Qingxue. The furtive glances around were all within my sight. The annoyance in my heart grew heavier. I was irritated by Su Qingxue's indifferent attitude and chuckled. "Miss Su, aren't you getting off?" My voice carried a hint of mockery, clearly audible in the somewhat noisy cabin. Throughout this journey, I deliberately remained silent with Su Qingxue, having long decided not to be easily swayed by Su Qingxue's words and actions anymore. And Su Qingxue, who was always proud, of course, wouldn't in front of everyone. She often initiates conversations, after all. In her perception, if she kept initiating conversations with me and was constantly met with indifference, wouldn't she appear like a stalker in everyone's eyes? Up until now, others have always pursued her. She couldn't bear to lose face like that. The bus rolled over gravel on the mountain pass. Finally, their lifelong love stopped at the campsite at the foot of the mountain. The people on the bus could no longer hold back and surged out en masse. Only Su Qingxue and I remained in the back seats. The awkwardness and tension in the air almost suffocated me. I took off my headphones, stood up, and was about to leave, but Su Qingxue reached out and tightly grabbed my wrist. Her fingertips were ice cold. Her grip was so strong it felt like she was crushing my bones. Her eyes were terrifyingly red. "Lin Feng, don't go." Her voice trembled, completely devoid of the haughty demeanor of the Su family's young lady from before. "I know I was wrong. In my past life, I wronged you. I was blind. I missed you for 5 whole years. You can hit me or scold me all you want. Just don't ignore me. Please don't abandon me." I forcefully pulled my hand away, taking half a step back to create distance. Seeing her like this, my heart remained unmoved. Only a numb desolation remained. "Su Qingxue, don't you understand yet?" I looked at her and spoke every word with utmost clarity. "I was reborn not because I was waiting for your apology, nor because I wanted to repeat the same mistakes with you. I am here to stay away from you, away from the Su family, away from those loathsome days. In my past life, I loved you wholeheartedly for 5 years, yet you trampled my sincere affection underfoot. Your mother made me take contraceptives that ruined my body, and you casually said you couldn't do anything about it and moved on. In the end, you kicked me out of the house, and as I lay dying on the street, you were kissing Fang Yuan. These events cannot be erased by a simple, 'I was wrong.' Now you say you miss me, say you love me, not because you truly understand what love is, but because you've lost the Lin Feng who always came and went at your beck and call. You are no longer used to it. You are no longer used to it. The person you've always loved was never me, but the obedient shadow who would endlessly tolerate you, the one who could endlessly forgive you." Su Qingxue slumped onto the seat. Tears suddenly fell. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but no words came out. She always thought that as long as she humbled herself and revealed the secret of her rebirth, I would, just like in the past life, melt and return to her side, but she didn't expect that I truly no longer needed her. Leaving her no chance to turn back, I didn't look at her again, turned and got off the bus. As soon as I reached the campsite entrance, I saw Xie Hanmo standing under a tree. She held 2 bottles of mineral water in her hands. Seeing me arrive, the worry in her eyes immediately vanished. She handed me a bottle of water. Without asking anything, she gently asked, "Want to hike? The scenery from the summit is beautiful." I took the water. My nose suddenly stung. For the 5 years in my past life with Su Qingxue, I always had to watch her expressions, always carefully managing her emotions. Never had anyone like this, asking nothing, just worrying about my feelings first. We hiked for a very long time that day. Yang Jian and their group were noisy and walked ahead. Xie Hanmo and I walked behind, slowly walking, slowly talking. I told her why I initially studied opera script writing and about the small yard in my hometown. She told me about the plants she grows and spoke of her dream to build an ecological farm. The wind blew through the mountains, carrying the scent of plants and grass. The gloom that had accumulated in my heart for 2 lifetimes seemed to finally be blown away. After the team building ended and we returned to school, Su Qingxue no longer bothered me. Later, I heard from Yang Jian that she and Fang Yuan had completely broken up. Fang Yuan, armed with proof of the Su family's use of drugs, and the Fang family seizing an opportunity to attack the Su family, made the whole circle aware of the scandal. Old Master Su was furious, completely revoked all her authority, and sent her abroad to study. Before she left, she sent me a long message, full of apologies, saying that she finally understood how difficult it must have been for me during my past life by her side, how difficult it was. I only replied, "May we all find peace," then deleted the message and erased all her contact information as well. The grievances of the past life should end here. 4 years of university, I lived peacefully and steadily. I focused on writing scripts. In my second year of university, I won the Gold Award at the National Student Theater Festival. Upon graduation, I signed with the industry's most outstanding theater troupe, becoming a professional screenwriter. Xie Hanmo's ecological farm was established, just in the suburbs. Her online presence grew, becoming a truly influential rural blogger, leading nearby farming households in practicing ecological farming together, living as the person she wanted to be. We naturally grew together. There were no dramatic confessions, just a natural companionship like flowing water. She would bring me a warm glass of milk. When I stayed up late writing scripts, I would massage her tired back. After she had a busy day in the summer, on weekends we'd go to the suburban farm. She would tend to her crops, and I would sit by the field writing scripts. My father, Lin, also came from our hometown to cultivate a small plot of land for vegetables at the farm. Every day, growing vegetables, fishing, the smile on his face, was much greater than when he was a driver for the Su family. In my third year after graduation, my play premiered at the National Grand Theater on the opening night with Xie Hanmo sitting in the front row, her eyes full of admiration. I took the microphone and proposed to her in front of the entire audience. She smiled through tears and nodded vigorously. The wedding was held at the farm, very simple, with many friends attending. Yang Jian brought his girlfriend, Lu Ruyan also came. She told me that Su Qingxue had settled abroad and had never been in love with anyone since. I heard she occasionally watched the plays I wrote. I just smiled upon hearing this and paid it no mind. On the night the wedding ended, Xie Hanmo and I sat on the swing in the yard, gazing at the starry sky. She leaned on my shoulder and gently asked if I had any regrets. I lowered my head and kissed her forehead, shaking my head. In this reborn life, my greatest fortune was never the chance for revenge, nor the chance to make up for any regrets, but that I finally broke free from the shackles of my past life and no longer lived for others. Finally finding someone who truly cherished me, respected me, and allowed me to live as my true self. The night wind blew, carrying the fragrance of flowers in the yard. The croaking of frogs echoed from the distant rice fields. I held Xie Hanmo's hand, my heart filled with peace.